Chapter 8:10. Boom! The two divine consciousnesses collided fiercely, and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Ripples of chi waves appeared in the void, spreading outwards. The ancient trees in the surroundings were snapped one after another by the shockwave. Initially, the black-robed young man was composed and stood with his arms crossed, waiting for Su Zimo to die. However, he did not expect to receive such an impact. Caught off guard, the black-robed young man was sent flying by a tremendous force and somersaulted a couple of times in midair, almost falling. Su Zimo staggered back a couple of steps as well before stabilizing himself. The collision of their spirit consciousnesses was evenly matched. The demons were in an uproar. Be it cultivators or demon cultivators, all of them had the same understanding: low-level fiend demons could not release spirit consciousness attacks at all. The essence spirits of low-level fiend demons were the weakest. If they were separated from their bodies, they would die easily from exposure to the elements. The strength of the spirit consciousness released by such a weak essence spirit was limited. It was impossible for them to launch attacks. However, what happened right now had already surpassed the understanding of the demons. The black-robed young man stabilized himself with a shocked expression. How was that possible? How could a low-level fiend demon's spirit consciousness be this strong? He was a mid-level fiend demon. They were an entire major cultivation realm apart. Yet, this man was able to clash with his spirit consciousness without being disadvantaged. In reality, the black-robed young man did not know that Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm and had yet to complete the transformation of his essence spirit, body and bloodline with dermic powers. In other words, Su Zimo was not even at early stage nascent soul right now. If he were to wait for a period of time until his cultivation realm stabilized, the black-robed young man would definitely be severely injured from the impact of the Een Spirit section, Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra tempering his two essence spirits. Interesting, after his shock, the black-robed young man composed himself quickly and glared at Su Zimo with a burning gaze. He said slowly, "Let's see what secrets you're hiding. You're probably not going to live to see it." Su Zimo sneered and arrived before the black-robed young man in a flash. Extending his gigantic palm, he smashed down on the black-robed young man's head. "You're courting death." The black-robed youth narrowed his eyes. He did not retreat or evade. Instead, he threw a backhand punch at Su Zimo's palm. Just as the fist and palm were about to collide, the corners of the black-robed youth's mouth curled up slightly, and a trace of complacency flashed in his eyes. With a flip of his palm, a cold light flickered. Suddenly, a 3-inch-long black spike shot out. As soon as the black spike appeared, it emitted a fishy smell. It was tainted with a deadly poison. This change in move was extremely sudden. As far as the black-robed youth was concerned, Su Zimo was dead for sure. Even mid-level fiend demons would not be able to escape death if they were struck by his black spike. Unexpectedly, Su Zimo's expression did not change, as if he had already sensed it. The cicada senses the autumn wind before it moves. With the help of his spirit perception, Su Zimo had long since noticed the danger. The moment the black spike shot out, he immediately changed his move. With a flick of his finger, his steel-like fingernails heavily hit the black spike. Clang! When the two of them collided, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The black-robed youth's entire body trembled, and he almost lost his grip on the black spike, causing it to fly out of his hand. Pust! What immense strength! The black-robed youth was alarmed. A single flick of Su Zimo's finger and the power released was almost enough to send the black spike in his hand flying. If this palm landed squarely on his head, it was likely that his head would be smashed into pieces. Crack! 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 The black-robed youth was decisive, and a series of sounds echoed from his body, as though his tendons and bones were being stretched. As demonic chi surged, he transformed into a scorpion the size of a calf in midair. At this point of the battle, the black-robed youth had finally revealed his true form. It was a scorpion that had cultivated into a demon. The scorpion was pitch black from head to toe, as though it was clad in a shiny black armor that looked indestructible and invulnerable. The surface of the armor was densely covered with fur and barbs. It was obvious that the armor was contaminated with poison, making it impossible for anyone to attack it. Of course, the most eye-catching thing was the pair of gigantic pincers on the front of the black scorpion. They were almost a third of its size. The pincers let out clanging sounds as they opened and closed. Even a body of flesh and blood would not be able to withstand this attack. Everything would be cut in half. By reverting to his true form, the black-robed youth's combat strength was already at its peak. Reveal your true form for me to take a look. Otherwise, you won't have the chance later on. The black-robed youth glared at Su Zimo and said coldly. Su Zimo reared his head in laughter and pointed into the distance. There's no need for me to revert to my true form to kill you. Brazen. The black-robed youth was enraged and charged over with his gigantic, pitch-black pincers. A stench filled the air. The two pincers waved in midair and sliced down repeatedly. However, Su Zimo's movement technique was agile and the consecutive attacks of the pincers missed. A series of clanging sounds could be heard one after another. The pincers could be used as a pair of scissors or swung like a battle axe. There were many variations. Although he could not take down Su Zimo after a long time, the black-robed youth was neither discouraged nor anxious. His gaze was cold, as though he was waiting for an opportunity. After Su Zimo dodged another pair of pincers, a dark light flashed in midair. It arrived instantly. A nauseating stench assaulted their nostrils. Some of the demon beasts that were closer felt giddy when they smelled the stench and fell limply to the ground. Gradually, a dark color appeared on their skin. That was the killing move of the scorpion race. Scorpions were filled with poison and their tails were the most poisonous. That dark light was the incoming scorpion tail of the black-robed youth. The black-robed youth was scheming and had hidden his scorpion tail the entire time. Just now, his attack was merely meant to numb Su Zimo. Right now, he was releasing a fatal blow. However, the black-robed youth could not see anything strange on Su Zimo's face. It was as though the poison of the scorpion tail had no effect on this person. There was no way the black-robed youth would know that Su Zimo cultivated the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and had tsunami blood. Coupled with the bloodline of dragons, the poison gas could not get close to him as long as he circulated his blood chi slightly. Even a stronger poison would not be able to do anything to him, let alone the poison of the scorpion tail. Su Zimo narrowed his gaze and suddenly reached out. He dodged the poison needle on the scorpion tail by a hair's breadth and gripped the base of the tail. The poison needle of the scorpion tail was the sharpest part of the scorpion race. Many scorpion demons would refine their scorpion tails into destiny-dermic weapons. Su Zimo dodged the poison needle and gripped the base of the scorpion tail. With a jerk of his arm, a tremendous amount of power surged into the black-robed youth's body. Instantly, the black-robed youth's strength dissipated and he could not resist for a moment. Su Zimo did not give him a chance to catch his breath at all. Gripping the scorpion tail, he swung his arm and drew a gigantic arc in midair, smashing the black-robed youth's body onto the ground fiercely. Boom! There was a deafening sound. A huge pit was formed on the ground and mud flew everywhere. Ah, ah! A series of intermittent tragic cries sounded from the black-robed youth's mouth. He felt as though his body was about to fall apart. His internal organs had been displaced. The black-robed youth coughed out fresh blood from the injuries to his organs and was in so much pain that he almost fainted. Chapter 8:11. Although the black-robed young man had experienced many battles up till this point of his cultivation, he was the young master of Black Sand Ridge after all and was mostly unharmed. At the very least, there was no demon in Black Sand Ridge who was blind enough to provoke him. Furthermore, he had just broken through a couple of years ago and was a mid-level fiend demon. He did have the right to be proud. Even without the protection of the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge, he was still considered as a top figure in the nearby territories. To think that he would end up in such a tragic state in his first battle after becoming a mid-level fiend demon. The most unacceptable thing for him was that the one who defeated him was a low-level fiend demon. How was that possible? The black-robed young man's bones and tendons were fractured from the fall. Although his mind was in a mess, he still could not understand. Even pure-blooded ferocious beasts might not be able to defeat him despite being a major cultivation realm above them. What was the background of this person? Why would a low-level fiend demon release a spirit consciousness attack? Countless questions flashed through the mind of the proud black-robed young man. There must be a secret on him. It's either some shocking treasure or some powerful secret technique. If I can kill this person and snatch his treasures or secret skills, my strength will definitely increase exponentially. Initially, the black-robed young man had thoughts of retreating. However, greed took over in the blink of an eye. Fortune came from danger. No matter what, he was a mid-level fiend demon with combat strength and a superior cultivation realm, there was still a chance for him to turn the tables. If he missed this opportunity, it would be way too difficult to capture the 5 of them in the future when they headed to other territories. At that thought, the black-robed young man took a deep breath and consumed a few spirit herbs. His glabella shone brightly as he channeled his essence spirit and gathered dermic powers continuously. Black Sand Eclipse. The black-robed young man did not even turn back as he hollered with bloodshot eyes. Upon hearing those words, many demon beasts of Black Sand Ridge that were initially fighting Monkey and the others were shocked and retreated one after another with wary expressions, afraid that they would not be able to avoid in time. Su Zimo was about to leap forward and kill the black-robed young man completely when he felt a strong gust of wind beside him and black sand surged towards him. Heaven and earth instantly became dark and lightless. It was as though the blazing sun was truly devoured. Black Sand Eclipse was the famous ultimate skill of the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge. Not only was every grain of black sand contaminated with the scorpion race's poison, it also contained powerful dermic powers that could grind one's skin and erode one's bones. It was extremely powerful. Su Zimo felt a chill in his heart. He could clearly feel that every grain of black sand that hit his body caused a piercing pain. It wasn't too obvious, but he could still endure it. After breaking through to the nascent soul realm, his body had become even more terrifying. His blood chi surged and even ordinary dermic weapons might not be able to hurt him. However, the eyes were the most fragile and could not withstand the impact of the black sand. Su Zimo closed his eyes subconsciously. The moment he closed his eyes, Su Zimo was shocked again. Violent winds howled, and black sand filled the sky, covering the heavens. He suddenly realized that not only did the black sand have powerful attack power, it could also block his 5 senses. Under the cover of the black sand, even his spiritual sense became somewhat sluggish and blurry. Although he could sense danger, he could not determine its exact location. While Su Zimo was shocked, the black-robed young man was even more shocked. If it was any other mid-level fiend demon, they would not be able to escape death after being enveloped by the black sand and would be reduced to a skeleton within dozens of breaths. He had not expected that Su Zimo would be able to withstand the impact of Black Sand Eclipse with his body alone. The black sand washed Su Zimo's body repeatedly. Although his green robes were riddled with holes, his skin was completely intact. The black-robed young man grit his teeth and had a vicious gaze as he channeled his essence spirit repeatedly to augment his dermic powers. No matter what, he believed that there was no way Su Zimo could break free from the cover of the black sand. At the very least, he was undefeatable. All of a sudden, a beam of light flashed within the black sand. The black-robed young man widened his eyes in disbelief. Within the black sand, Su Zimo had opened an eye. The beam of light originated from his right eye. It shone brighter and more blinding. It was like a blazing sun. Although the black sand was strong and had boundless dermic powers, it could not devour the blazing sun. It was like the eye of a god. It was cold and dignified. The black-robed young man felt his scalp prickle and a chill ran down his spine. Suddenly, he shrieked, "Visual technique!" A blinding beam of light shot out from the black sand and streaked through the void, illuminating the world as though it was daytime. Light had reappeared. Boom! The beam of light tore through the layers of black sand and arrived instantly, striking the black-robed young man viciously, shattering his black armor and penetrating his chest. However, no blood flowed out from the bowl-sized wound and it was charred. Dragon's secret skill, Illumination Eye. Although the black sand was strong, it could no longer block Su Zimo's vision. When Su Zimo caught sight of the black-robed young man's position, he attacked instantly and severely injured the latter. The black sand dispersed. This time round, Su Zimo did not give the black-robed young man any chance to catch his breath. Charging forward, he strode forward and stomped heavily on the back of the black-robed young man's scorpion. Snap! The black armor on the latter's back shattered instantly. That single stomp had already snapped the black-robed young man's spine. Boom! Leaning forward, Su Zimo punched the black-robed young man's head viciously. The latter's head exploded and red and white matter splattered all over the ground. The black-robed young man was dead. Su Zimo stood up and frowned slightly. Although he killed the black-robed young man with thunderous methods, he had a strange feeling in his heart as though something was amiss. All of a sudden, Su Zimo felt as though he was being spied on. Suddenly, Su Zimo spun around and looked in another direction with a burning gaze. In the depths of the forest far away, a pitch-black scorpion the size of a thumb stood in the air. It shone with a faint light and had a menacing expression with a venomous gaze. The pitch-black scorpion looked exactly the same as the black-robed young man who just now had died. Su Zimo froze for a moment before realization dawned on him. The pitch-black scorpion that shone with a faint light and was only the size of a thumb should be the essence spirit of the black-robed young man. After cultivating to the void reversion realm and becoming a mid-level fiend demon, the essence spirit could break free from the shackles of the physical body. It was fearless of the scorching sun and raging winds and could soar through the world, traversing thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. This was the realm where one's essence spirit could leave the body. Even if a cultivator's physical body was destroyed, they would not be considered dead as long as their essence spirit was alive. If there was a suitable opportunity, the essence spirit of a void reversion realm cultivator could possess the body of others and achieve a different form of rebirth. Of course, no matter who it was, even if they had boundless dermic powers, they could not possess an unlimited number of bodies. Furthermore, possession was extremely dangerous and had many restrictions. To put it simply, everyone could only possess a single body at most. Even so, it was frightening enough. It was equivalent to having an additional life. The black-robed young man was impressive as well. When he saw that his body could not be saved, he made a prompt decision to abandon his body and escape with his essence spirit. This was the first time Su Zimo truly fought against a mid-level fiend demon. He was not familiar with the other party's methods and that was why he was careless and allowed the black-robed young man's essence spirit to escape. Chapter 8:12. The black-robed young man glared at Su Zimo deeply with a venomous gaze before turning to leave and vanishing into the depths of the forest. The destruction of his physical body could be considered as a deep grudge. When Su Zimo caught sight of the black-robed young man's gaze, he knew that this was definitely not going to end peacefully. Right now, the simplest and most direct method for Su Zimo was to chase after the black-robed young man and destroy his essence spirit to prevent any future troubles. However, the black-robed young man was a step ahead and the distance between the two of them was widened. Furthermore, this was Black Sand Ridge and Su Zimo was relatively unfamiliar with the environment here. He did not chase for long before he lost track of the black-robed young man. After the essence spirit left the body, it was no longer restrained by the physical body and could travel thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye at an extremely fast speed. Even if he discovered the black-robed young man's tracks, Su Zimo might not be able to catch up if he did not release blood escape. Furthermore, the black-robed young man was the young master of Black Sand Ridge and had an esteemed status. The battle that broke out here must have alerted many fiend demon experts. If he continued chasing, he would most likely be embroiled in a bitter battle and would not be able to extricate himself. After pondering for a moment, Su Zimo gave up on the chase and returned. With this experience, he would not make the same mistake the next time he encountered a mid-level fiend demon. By the time Su Zimo returned, the battle had already ended. Even as a mid-level fiend demon, the black-robed young man nearly died tragically with his physical body destroyed. When the other demons saw that, none of them dared to linger and fled in all directions. In the forest, there were only corpses strewn across the ground. In just a short period of time, more than 100 demon beasts died here. Monkey, Linghu, and Qing Qing were excited. After entering Thousand Demon Valley, they were hunted down by the demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain for more than 10 days. They had been pent up for a long time and could finally vent their frustrations now. Even Little Fox could not conceal the joy in her eyes as she caressed the pitch-black umbrella in her hands lovingly. Awesome, this is awesome. Linghu could not stop grinning as he patted his chest and hollered, bloody hell. Let's see who dares to hunt us down from now on. No matter how many come, we'll beat them back. The 5 of them smiled at each other. They knew that from this moment onward, they wouldn't flee anymore. The little fox kept the black umbrella in her storage bag and asked, Young master, where are we going next? After demonic beasts cultivated their primordial spirits, they would be able to use their dermic powers. They would also be able to use a type of dermic powers to forge a storage pouch. It was extremely convenient. Of course, some fiendish demons chose to hide their weapons on their bodies, in their mouths, or in their sea of consciousness. Linghu raised his fist and said loudly, Of course we're going to find a piece of land and play with it. Overlords are so awe-inspiring, controlling tens of thousands of demons, so awesome. Not bad. Monkey nodded in agreement. He always had the thought of occupying the mountain and becoming the king. Qing Qing looked at Linghu with a smile and asked, Will there be many female fairies accompanying you after you become a lord? Yes, Linghu was immersed in the illusion. His expression was intoxicated, and he almost drooled. But before he could finish his sentence, he felt a killing intent. His mind jolted, and he came to his senses. How is that possible? Linghu said righteously, I, Hubatian, am a true gentleman. All female fairies are fleeting clouds and pink skeletons. Linghu licked his lips and closed in beside Qing Qing, smiling fawningly. It's enough for me to have Qing Qing by my side, get lost. Qing Qing extended her long legs and sent Linghu flying. The little fox frowned slightly and whispered, But, we've only just broken through and are only low-level fiend demons. If you want to be a territorial lord, you have to be a mid-level fiend demon at the very least. What's wrong with that? Linghu ran back from afar. That black scorpion was a mid-level fiend demon, but he was still beaten to a pulp by you, first, leaving behind his skin and escaping with his essence spirit. Qing Qing nodded as well. In terms of strength, first should be able to be a territorial lord. Even if he can't compare to some greater territorial lords, he should be able to be a minor territorial lord. But, where are we going to find extra territories? The little fox shook her head. This is Thousand Demon Valley. All the territories here are probably occupied by fiend demons a long time ago. Simple, Monkey's eyes flashed with a scarlet glint as he licked his lips. Let's find a territory and take down their territorial lord together. None of the other demons will dare to resist then. Monkey had a belligerent nature and was restless. Even if no one provoked him, he would think of ways to pick fights with others. It's not good to take over someone else's territory, right? The little fox blinked and asked weakly. Foxy, you haven't been to the demon world before, Ling Hu waved it off. This is a place where the strong preys on the weak and there's no logic to speak of. Whoever's fist is bigger will be able to survive and live well. The little fox was deep in thought. Ever since they entered Thousand Demon Valley, they had not taken the initiative to provoke anyone. However, they were bullied twice in a row because they were weak. Monkey added, if you want to survive in the demon world, it's useless to tolerate and compromise blindly. Everything here has to be fought for with your fists. The little fox nodded. Yes, I'll listen to you guys. Su Zimo did not say anything the entire time, but he already had a plan in mind. Be it him, Monkey or Ling Hu, it was difficult for them to submit to others. They had to occupy a territory. Ching Ching said in a deep voice, we've just entered Thousand Demon Valley and aren't familiar with this place. Which territory should we occupy? There were some considerations involved. If they made the wrong choice and met with a tough opponent, the 5 of them might even lose their lives if they failed to snatch the position of territorial lord. Everyone looked at Su Zimo. Su Zimo said slowly, Howling Moon Mountain then. Monkey and Ling Hu's eyes lit up. That's right. Ling Hu slapped his head. I nearly forgot about that. Those brats from Howling Moon Mountain chased us through mountains and rivers for more than 10 days. We've got to get back at them. Su Zimo took out the map that the rat gave them. Look at the territory of Howling Moon Mountain. It's the smallest in the vicinity. Based on that, the territorial lord should be weaker. That's it, Monkey agreed as well. Ling Hu was raring to go and clamored, let's go. Let's go right now. Su Zimo said in a deep voice, don't be hasty. Let's infiltrate Howling Moon Mountain first and cultivate there for a period of time to stabilize our cultivation realms. It's best if we can figure out the actual situation of Howling Moon Mountain before making any plans. Su Zimo was clear that it was not that easy to occupy a territory. There were only 5 of them. If they were to attack forcefully, it would be extremely difficult. Furthermore, Monkey and the others had already refined their destiny dermic weapons. As for his creation, the Qinglian, he had yet to refine it. By the time his cultivation realm stabilized and his dermic powers transformed his essence spirit, physique and bloodline, his strength would definitely improve once more after he refined the creation, Qinglian. With that, his chances of occupying Howling Moon Mountain would be much higher. Let's go. Let's leave this place first, Su Zimo pondered for a moment and waved his hand. This place was within the boundaries of Black Sand Ridge. The young master of Black Sand Ridge was severely injured and nearly died. It wouldn't be long before experts arrived. Chapter 8:13. For the past month, Howling Moon Mountain did not have much peace. Hundreds of spirit demons were dead and 2 of the 7 protectors were dead. This was a huge matter. It was said that the demons that died were killed by demons that escaped from the ancient battlefield. However, there were only 5 of them and all of them were spirit demons. During this period of time, every single demon in Howling Moon Mountain was searching for the 5 of them. They dug 3 feet into the ground but to no avail. All the demons realized that the 5 of them should have already left. Even if they were hiding in Howling Moon Mountain previously, they would have been scared off by such a huge search. However, no one noticed that on this day, 5 fiend demons in human form strutted into the territory of Howling Moon Mountain. The 5 fiend demons were none other than Su Zimo's group that was at the center of the storm right now. Hee, puny demons of Howling Moon Mountain, Hubadian, am back. Ling Hu grinned. Ching Ching said, the demons of Howling Moon Mountain probably wouldn't have thought that we would dare to return here. Su Zimo smiled. It's useless even if they think about it. They won't be able to recognize us. Some spirit demons appeared in the vicinity. However, when the spirit demons caught sight of Su Zimo's group of 5, they did not reveal any strange expressions and merely avoided them with respectful expressions. The 5 of them passed through the forest and the sounds of cicadas echoed. However, the 5 of them were extremely calm. Back then, they had nowhere to hide because of those inconspicuous cicadas. But now, those cicadas posed no threat to them at all. After Su Zimo's group of 5 cultivated to fiend demons, they could take on human form completely without any traces of demons on them. Although they could take on human form in the Jin Dan realm as well, there would be demonic chi on them and traces of demons on them as well. For example, Monkey's long fur could not be concealed, Linghu had a human body and a tiger's head, and Little Fox's tail would be revealed occasionally. Right now, even if other fiend demons were to come, they would not be able to recognize the 5 of them, let alone those ordinary cicadas. Unless it was an expert whose cultivation realm surpassed theirs, they would not be able to see through their facades. Su Zimo had a head of red hair, and the muscles on his face were wriggling. After some slight adjustments, he looked like a completely different person. Let's go. Let's find a place to settle down and cultivate for a while to stabilize our cultivation. Su Zimo led Monkey and the others deep into the forest and soon disappeared. 1 month later. Late at night, the full moon hung high in the sky. The clear and bright moonlight shone on the surface of the lake like a mirror. The lake water was so clear that one could see the bottom. It was as if there was a divine dragon swimming in the water. A gentle breeze blew past, and the waves sparkled. The divine dragon disappeared, and a silhouette was reflected. On a blue stone beside the lake, there was a crimson-haired man bathing in the moonlight, swallowing the world. Every time the man breathed, there would be the sound of waves coming from his body. Thick demonic chi gushed out of his mouth, forming a divine dragon in midair. It circled around him before being sucked into his body through his nose. This cycle repeated over and over again. The man's aura became more and more terrifying, emitting an endless amount of pressure. The demons in the vicinity had long stayed far away. The chirping of the cicadas had already disappeared. The crimson-haired man was Su Zimo. They had already cultivated for a month after returning to Howling Moon Mountain. During this period of time, Su Zimo's cultivation realm had already stabilized. Dermic powers had also completed the transformation of his essence spirit, bloodline and body. Right now, Su Zimo was much stronger than he was a month ago. If he encountered the black sand eclipse of the young master of Black Sand Ridge again, he would be able to dispel it easily even without using Illumination Eye. For the past month, Su Zimo had gained a lot. The crimson-haired Een spirit cultivated the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness. The black-haired essence spirit cultivated the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra and was already in a good state. However, there was no movement from the creation Qinglian. Su Zimo was not discouraged either. Legend has it that the creation Qinglian was a being of the immortal world and was incomparably strong. It would be strange if it could be awakened so easily. Su Zimo took out a soul-nourishing blood ginseng and consumed it before continuing to cultivate. In the spirit platform, the black-haired essence spirit sat on the dilapidated and ancient creation Qinglian. A faint halo appeared behind his head, looking divine and flawless. Occasionally, purple electric arcs would flash across his body, making crackling sounds. In the middle of his consciousness, the scarlet-haired Een spirit hovered in midair. As time passed by, the scarlet-haired Een spirit's body turned rough and eventually, fiery red scales appeared one after another. They resembled metal plates that were scorched red. Those scales were extremely similar to the scales that grew on Su Zimo's body when he transformed into a dragon. However, those scales were formed from spirit consciousness and were attached to the essence spirit. Right then, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. The so-called void reversion realm was to cultivate one's essence spirit to the void reversion realm. Once one's essence spirit reaches the void reversion realm, they would be able to leave their bodies and travel thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. Under normal circumstances, be it Een spirits or essence spirits of nascent souls, they would not be able to do that. But now, a bold thought flashed through Su Zimo's mind as he sensed the scales on the scarlet-haired Een spirit. With a single thought, Su Zimo controlled the black-haired essence spirit to leave his consciousness and leave his body. The moment it left his body, the black-haired essence spirit shuddered. Although the temperature outside was normal, it was way too cold for the black-haired essence spirit to withstand. Shoo! The black-haired essence spirit returned to his consciousness hurriedly and continued cultivating. This time round, Su Zimo controlled the scarlet-haired Een spirit and left his consciousness carefully. It was fine. The scarlet-haired Een spirit that was covered in scales did not feel any discomfort when it arrived outside his body. Although Su Zimo was secretly delighted, he did not dare to be careless. For Een spirits or essence spirits of nascent souls, the true threat was the common forces of nature such as exposure to the elements. Those were unavoidable if one wanted to wander the world spiritually. Before he was done with that thought, a gust of cold wind blew. Su Zimo grit his teeth. The scarlet-haired Een spirit did not return and remained outside his body. Despite the cold wind, the scarlet-haired Een spirit remained motionless and was not harmed at all under the protection of its scales. Su Zimo was delighted. If he was not wrong, those scales were the spirit consciousness dragon scales that grew from the cultivation of the Een spirit section. Gradually, Su Zimo's guts grew. The scarlet-haired Een spirit shuttled through the air at an extremely fast speed, leaving behind streaks of red light. This was what it meant to travel thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. Initially, it was something that could only be achieved by a void reversion essence spirit. However, Su Zimo had already achieved it by cultivating the Een spirit section of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. The scarlet-haired Een spirit stood in midair and looked at its body on the green stone. It looked at itself. It was a mysterious feeling. It was even more intuitive than the detection of spirit consciousness. Furthermore, the scarlet-haired Een spirit could soar through the world and its detection range was even further than spirit consciousness. Su Zimo was in high spirits and decided to wander Howling Moon Mountain at night with his scarlet-haired Een spirit. Once the essence spirit left the body and the consciousness was empty, the physical body was equivalent to a shell without a soul or consciousness. Even if the physical body encountered danger, it would not know how to defend or dodge. Therefore, before the essence spirit left the body, cultivators would hide their bodies in a secret place to prevent their enemies from discovering them. However, Su Zimo was not worried about that at all. Even after the scarlet-haired Een spirit left, there was still an essence spirit in his consciousness. Chapter 8:14. The scarlet-haired Een spirit hovered in midair weightlessly. Su Zimo leaped down from the green rock and walked towards a cave not far away. The black-haired essence spirit controlled the body and hid it in the cave temporarily so that it would be less troublesome. The black-haired essence spirit continued to cultivate while the scarlet-haired Een spirit vanished from the spot in a flash, heading towards the depths of Howling Moon Mountain. Without the restraints of the physical body, the essence spirit was closer to heaven and earth and traversed through the air with fewer obstacles. It was extremely fast and could travel thousands of kilometers in a single breath. In reality, if Su Zimo wanted to explore the territory of Howling Moon Mountain, he would need at least 3 days and nights. However, given the scarlet-haired Een spirit's speed, he would only need a single night to explore most of Howling Moon Mountain. The shadows of the trees retreated continuously. With the protection of the dragon scales, the scarlet-haired Een spirit shuttled through the forest wantonly and soared through heaven and earth in an indescribably carefree manner. Referring to the map in his hands, Su Zimo gradually approached the center of Howling Moon Mountain. That was where the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain resided and cultivated. Under normal circumstances, be it Een spirits or essence spirits of nascent souls, they would not be able to lift anything due to their insufficient strength. Even a feather could not be lifted by a Een spirit, let alone a map. However, the scarlet-haired Een spirit had dragon scales and could lift lighter items such as the map of Howling Moon Mountain. Su Zimo lamented internally. He had to admit that the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness was indeed powerful. Even though the black-haired essence spirit cultivated the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra, two top-tier immortal and Buddhist cultivation techniques, it could not allow its mind to wander, let alone lift anything. However, the Een Spirit section of the mystic classic of the 12 Demon Kings of the Great Wilderness could do it. The Een Spirit section came from the Dragon King of Desolate Ocean. In other words, even the dragons of Tianhuang mainland might not be able to compare to Su Zimo in terms of spirit refinement. 2 hours later, Su Zimo was already close to the center of Howling Moon Mountain. In order to prevent others from discovering him, the scarlet-haired Een spirit gradually slowed down. It was clear that the number of fiend demons in the vicinity had increased significantly. However, none of them discovered Su Zimo's whereabouts. Firstly, most of them were in the midst of cultivation, and it was difficult for them to be distracted. Secondly, the scarlet-haired Een spirit was only the size of a thumb and was extremely fast. Even if someone saw it, they would only think that it was an illusion. Thirdly, although Su Zimo had just entered the nascent soul realm, his scarlet-haired Een spirit was much stronger than the primordial spirits of other demons. This way, it would be even harder for the demons to discover Su Zimo. This was also the strength of an astral projection. Even if low-level fiendish demons were spying on them from the side, these fiendish demons would not be able to detect them. Su Zimo continued forward, his speed becoming slower and slower. He could clearly sense that there were two fiend demons cultivating not far ahead. The dermic powers around them were extremely strong and far surpassed the other fiend demons. Two mid-level fiendish demons. Su Zimo stopped and hid himself, not daring to move forward. If he was not wrong, the two mid-level fiend demons should be the territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain, Black Wolf and Chan Rui. Both territorial lords were mid-level fiendish demons and could completely astral travel. Su Zimo peeked carefully from afar, afraid that he would alarm the two of them. All of a sudden, Black Wolf stood up with a menacing aura. His eyes shone brightly as he howled, "Who's there? How dare you spy on Howling Moon Mountain? Not good, I've been discovered." Su Zimo was alarmed. It's no wonder why Black Wolf is the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. He's quite capable indeed. To think that he could sense me even though I'm hiding here from such a distance. Su Zimo was already prepared to retreat when that thought flashed through his mind. Since his tracks were exposed, there was no point in lingering any longer. Instead, he would land himself in a dangerous situation where it would be difficult for him to escape. Right then, a gentle breeze blew and 3 essence spirits that shone faintly flew out from the forest not far away, hovering in midair. Initially, Su Zimo wanted to leave. However, when he saw that, he paused in his actions. To think that there would be other essence spirits spying in the dark. The 3 essence spirits were in the form of bats and it was clear that they were void reversions for them to be able to roam this far. One of the essence spirits in the middle said eccentrically, "Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain, you're indeed quite capable to be able to discover our tracks. We'll pay you a visit another day." Before his sentence was finished, the 3 essence spirits had already sped into the distance, wanting to escape in time. "Where do you think you're going?" Black Wolf hollered and his glabella shone. A terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation burst forth and condensed into a ferocious wolf with a murderous aura in midair. This ferocious wolf arrived in front of an essence divinity in an instant. It opened its mouth and swallowed the essence divinity. "Black Wolf, you, ah." The essence spirit could not dodge in time and shrieked tragically before he could even finish his sentence. Su Zimo was secretly speechless and his heart skipped a beat. Black Wolf's attack was a killing technique that targeted the essence spirit and was even stronger and more frightening than spirit consciousness attacks. At the void reversion realm, spirit consciousness attacks were merely the most ordinary means of attack. Some mid-level fiend demons or void reversions had the opportunity to cultivate essence spirit secret skills that could allow their spirit consciousness to become even more condensed and their power could be released with terrifying might. Essence Spirit secret skills were extremely rare and were secret skills that were not passed down to the major sections. The Yang Spirit section of the Mystic Classic of the 12 Demon Kings of the Great Wilderness contained an Essence Spirit secret skill of the Dragon King of Desolate Ocean. Unfortunately, many of the words in the Yang Spirit section were obscure and seemed to originate from the ancient language of the dragons themselves. It was the same for the Essence Spirit secret skill. Of course, Su Zimo had not cultivated to that stage and was not qualified to cultivate Essence Spirit secret skills. It was clear that the young master of Black Sand Ridge did not know any Essence Spirit secret skills previously. If the young master of Black Sand Ridge released his Essence Spirit secret skill, Su Zimo might not be able to defend against it even with the fusion of his two Essence Spirits. Although the Bat Essence Spirit was fast, Black Wolf's Essence Spirit secret skill was even faster and devoured the Bat Essence Spirit directly. A mid-level Fiend Demon's Essence Spirit had left his body and was roaming this place. To think that he would die in the hands of Black Wolf just like that without even a chance to return to his body. Chan Rui attacked. A massive spirit consciousness condensed and two curved sabers appeared in midair, shimmering with a cold glint and as thin as a cicada's wings. It was another Essence Spirit secret skill. The two curved sabers descended on the body of another Essence Spirit that was escaping and twisted. Exclamation point. The Bat Essence Spirit was shattered by the dual sabers and was destroyed on the spot. In the blink of an eye, two Essence Spirits of Void Reversions were dead. Essence Spirits were bound to face immense danger when they left their bodies. Furthermore, they were here to investigate a territorial lord. The two territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain attacked cleanly and killed two Essence Spirits. However, the third Bat Essence Spirit seized the opportunity to flee far away. Black Wolf, Chan Rui, don't get cocky. The voice of the Bat Essence Spirit sounded from afar. Howling Moon Mountain is about to be finished. Let's see how long more you guys can be smug for. The voice of the Essence Spirit grew further and further away before vanishing completely. Su Zimo remained on the spot motionlessly. If he attracted the attention of the two territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain and released some Essence Spirit secret skill on him, his scarlet-haired Een spirit would be severely injured even with the protection of his dragon scales. Chapter 8:15. Although an Essence Spirit could travel thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye after leaving the body, the moment it was severely injured, it would die without any chance of recovery. In the blink of an eye, two mid-level Fiend Demons died here. The three mid-level Fiend Demons must not have expected that the two territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain would be able to discover their tracks as well. More than that, they did not expect that the two territorial lords would be decisive in killing and possess Essence Spirit secret skills. The moment they attacked, they destroyed two Essence Spirits. Su Zimo was secretly shocked when he witnessed everything. Thankfully, he was here to investigate and knew what was going on. Otherwise, he would have suffered a huge setback if he were to fight against the two territorial lords rashly. Although they were both mid-level Fiend Demons, the young master of Black Sand Ridge was much weaker than the two territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain. A huge battle ended in the blink of an eye. Black Wolf and Chan Rui seemed to have lost the mood to cultivate. Both of them were speechless with a hint of worry in their eyes. Su Zimo was puzzled. The two of them had clearly obtained a huge victory, but why did it seem like they had lost instead? When he recalled the mid-level Fiend Demon's words when he escaped, it seemed like things were not as simple as they seemed. Black Wolf said with a grim expression, "Cyclone Cave can't wait any longer and sent 3 mid-level Fiend Demons to spy on us. Thankfully, I discovered their tracks beforehand. If they were to strike first, both of our lives would be in danger. Actually, the territorial lords of Cyclone Cave are still wary of us. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent someone to spy on us," Chan Rui deduced. Black Wolf shook his head. "If it's just Cyclone Cave, we might be able to fight them. However, that's not the only danger of Howling Moon Mountain. There's also Black Sand Ridge and Ghastly River," Chan Rui added. "That's right, Black Wolf sighed gently. All 3 territories are targeting us. I'm afraid Howling Moon Mountain won't be able to survive this ordeal. What I'm most worried about is the 3 territories joining forces. Chan Rui was silent with a heavy heart. At that point, Su Zimo had already obtained quite a bit of useful information. Seeing that the 2 suzerains were uneasy, he thought that this was a rare opportunity. Thus, he carefully retreated and quietly left the area. Not long after Su Zimo left, Hei Lang suddenly frowned and muttered, "Just now, other than the 3 people from Violent Wind Cave, there seemed to be someone spying nearby." Ah! Chan Rui was stunned. Hei Lang said, "That feeling is intermittent. I can't say for sure." "Could it be someone from Black Sand Ridge?" Chan Rui asked. "That's unlikely." Black Wolf shook his head. During this period of time, the fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge have been searching for the whereabouts of a mysterious group of people. They shouldn't be here. I've also heard of that matter. It's said that the physical body of the young master of the Black Sand Ridge was destroyed and he nearly died. Chan Rui chuckled and said, "But if it's not Black Sand Ridge, who could it be? Could it be?" Chan Rui suddenly paused and looked at Black Wolf subconsciously. Their gazes met in midair and Chan Rui's heart skipped a beat as she asked sternly, "That person from Ghastly River?" "That should be it," Hei Lang nodded and said, "I'm afraid only that person from the Ghastly River can silently sneak up on us and come and go without a trace." "This is truly troublesome," Chan Rui sighed. Su Zimo had left a long time ago and naturally did not know that the 2 territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain had imagined him to be someone else. At that moment, Su Zimo was in midair, shuttling through the clouds and looking down at the territory of Howling Moon Mountain. He checked out the terrain and listened to the sounds around him. All of a sudden, Su Zimo paused in midair and listened attentively for a moment. His lips curled into a fake smile and a strange look flashed through his eyes. If his spirit consciousness were to extend through the ground beneath him, he would be able to clearly sense that the ground was not solid. Instead, it was connected in all directions with countless paths intersecting, forming caves that were filled with demonic chi. Eventually, they gathered at a rather massive palace. The palace was golden and made entirely out of gold, shimmering with a rustic aura. Countless rats were bustling around the palace in a joyous manner. Some of them huffed and puffed as they carried wine. Some of them were slaughtering chickens and cows. Ordinary wild beasts such as chickens and cows naturally had no resistance against rats that had already gained sentience and cultivated into demons. The palace was even livelier. Some of the rats transformed into women and shuttled through the banquet, placing rare fruits and delicacies one after another. At the top of the palace, a chubby man sat in the middle with a golden crown on his head. Although he did not have any demonic chi on him, he had a shifty look and was extremely wretched. Beside the rat-eyed fatty, there were 2 delicate women who were massaging his legs and back in a joyous manner. "Congratulations, Your Majesty. Congratulations, Your Majesty." Below, a rat demon stood up and raised his cup in congratulations. This rat demon had transformed into a human form. He could stand on his 2 feet and wore clothes like a human, but there was a long tail behind him. This was a Jin Dan realm spirit demon. The rat demon declared loudly, "Your Majesty is the first of the Howling Moon Mountain rat race to cultivate into a fiend demon. The prosperity of our race is just around the corner." "That's right. Your Majesty is extremely talented and managed to cultivate into a fiend demon in less than a month after returning from the ancient battlefield." "Impressive." Some of the rat demons chimed in. "Ha ha ha ha." The rat-eyed fatty at the top of the palace roared in laughter and his eyes were almost squeezed out. He raised his cup and drank to his heart's content. "Everyone, drink to your heart's content. Tisk, tsk. Rat King, how impressive." At that instant, a mocking voice suddenly appeared beside the rat-eyed man's ears. The voice was neither loud nor soft. Apart from the rat-eyed fatty, no one else heard it in the noisy palace. Who is it? The rat-eyed fatty was shocked. Someone had approached him without him noticing at all. The rat-eyed fatty's glabella shone without batting an eyelid as he released his spirit consciousness towards the source of the voice. His spirit consciousness extended over and a thumb-sized figure stood in a corner behind him. It had shoulder-length scarlet hair and was covered in scales, obscuring its appearance. Pust! The Rat King gasped and his expression changed in shock. Instantly, he broke out in cold sweat and his wrist trembled, causing more than half of the wine in his cup to spill. Although he did not know who the intruder was, he knew that this was a technique that only mid-level fiend demons could release, the essence spirit projection. Don't make a fuss. Follow me. The scarlet-haired essence spirit's voice was cold and emotionless as it vanished into the darkness in a flash. The rat-eyed fatty lamented internally. The only territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain who could release their essence spirits were the territorial lords and vice-territorial lords. However, he knew that the essence spirits of the territorial lords and vice-territorial lords were definitely not as such. In other words, the intruder was not a mid-level fiend demon of Howling Moon Mountain. He would most likely be doomed if he were to head over. However, if he did not follow along, that essence spirit alone was enough to kill him. If he implicated his clansmen here, he would not be able to atone for it even with 100 deaths. At that thought, the rat-eyed fatty squeezed out a smile with a bitter expression and pushed away the two women beside him. His heart was stirring as he declared loudly, "Everyone, please continue. I can't handle the alcohol and will make a move first." Chapter 8:16. The Rat King was crestfallen the moment he left the underground cave. The mysterious scarlet-haired essence spirit in front of him was faintly discernible but did not stray too far away. He did not dare to escape either and could only follow behind, sighing with a sorrowful heart. Sigh, to think that I would encounter something as such right after cultivating to become a fiend demon. The heavens are truly jealous of geniuses. Is this mid-level fiend demon from Cyclone Cave or Black Sand Ridge? How unlucky. I'm not a protector of Howling Moon Mountain either. Why is this happening to me? Along the way, the Rat King was extremely uneasy and fearful. After walking for an hour, the scarlet-haired essence spirit in front of him finally stopped. Go on in, the scarlet-haired essence spirit pointed to a cave not far away and said indifferently. The voice sounded familiar to the Rat King. However, at that moment, his heart was filled with fear and he could not be bothered to differentiate. He merely felt that the cave before him was like the mouth of a primordial beast that was waiting for him to deliver himself to its doorstep. Sigh. The Rat King sighed once more and grit his teeth before burrowing into the cave. The cave was not huge and could be seen clearly. Although it was a little dim, it did not affect the Rat King who had cultivated to the level of a fiend demon. There were 5 people in the cave. Although they looked like cultivators, the Rat King could vaguely sense with his sharp sense of smell that the 5 of them before him should be fiend demons in human form. Among the 5 of them, some were lying on the ground with their legs crossed in a lazy manner. Some were sitting on the ground while others stood silently. For some unknown reason, all of them looked at him strangely. The Rat King felt his scalp tingle and was at a loss for what to do. At the front, a scarlet-haired cultivator assumed a lotus position with his eyes closed. In a daze, the muscles on the cultivator's face seemed to twitch and his appearance changed significantly. Why you? The Rat King's eyes widened as he stared at this scene in disbelief. The scarlet-haired man before him looked exactly the same as the green-robed man who wreaked havoc in Howling Moon Mountain more than a month ago. Naturally, the 5 people in the cave were Su Zimo's group. You guys. The Rat King immediately recognized Su Zimo's group of 5. He stomped his feet and shouted, "Are you crazy? How dare you come back? Why wouldn't I dare?" Monkey sneered, "With the 5 of us together, we can even venture into a tiger's den. Howling Moon Mountain is nothing." No. The Rat King was sweating profusely as he waved his hands and explained, "Don't think that you can come back for revenge just because you've achieved a breakthrough in your cultivation and become a demon. You have to know that even among the demons, there are different levels. Those who can become territorial lords are all mid-level fiendish demons. His primordial spirit can leave his body and wander around the world. In an instant, he can travel thousands of miles." Suddenly, the Rat King's voice stopped abruptly. He saw this scene. The red-haired primordial spirit that came in with Su Zimo flashed and turned into a beam of red light that entered Su Zimo's glabella. Su Zimo stood up with a faint smile on his face. The Rat King's mouth was wide open, and its eyeballs almost fell out of its sockets. How is that possible? Why you're not. The Rat King wanted to ask how Su Zimo's essence spirit could leave his body if he wasn't a low-level fiendish demon. However, at that moment, his mind was in a mess and he could not even speak properly. "Don't be nervous," Su Zimo walked over and patted the Rat King on the shoulder with a gentle smile. "I don't have any ill intentions when I look for you. I can't blame you for the conflict that happened at Howling Moon Mountain. Furthermore, it was all thanks to your map that we were able to escape from Howling Moon Mountain." When he heard that, the Rat King heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the ground. Before he knew it, he was already drenched in sweat. He did not know much about this person before him. However, he knew that this person was someone who could distinguish between gratitude and grudges. Since he said that, he would definitely not kill him. "Brothers, why are you looking for me?" After a while, the Rat King calmed down and took the initiative to ask. Su Zimo replied, "I'm here to ask you about something." Instantly, the Rat King let out a wary expression and scanned Su Zimo and the others before saying hesitantly, "Brothers, forgive me for being blunt. The reason why I saved you guys previously was out of guilt. However, if you guys want to make use of me to harm Howling Moon Mountain, I can't agree to that." Su Zimo said indifferently, "Howling Moon Mountain is filled with danger and is already doomed. There's no need for us to make a move." "What do you mean?" The Rat King blinked. "Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, Ghastly River." Su Zimo spat out the names of the 3 places slowly. Those 3 places were the 3 territories around Howling Moon Mountain. The Rat King's expression changed slightly and he remained silent. Su Zimo said, "You're well informed. I'm sure you must know that the 3 territories are plotting against Howling Moon Mountain. If the 3 territories join forces, Howling Moon Mountain will cease to exist." Most of the information was overheard by Su Zimo just now and he could roughly guess the answer with a little deduction. The Rat King sighed gently and smiled bitterly. "There's no need for the 3 territories to join forces. Howling Moon Mountain won't be able to defend against any one of them." "Tell me what you know about the 3 territories," Su Zimo asked. The Rat King said, "Actually, just by looking at the map of the territories, you can tell that the 3 territories are stronger than Howling Moon Mountain." The Rat King was right. The map indicated that Howling Moon Mountain's territory was the smallest and was sandwiched between the 3 territories. The Rat King continued, "Howling Moon Mountain only has 2 mid-level fiend demons, the Territorial Lords and Territorial Lords. However, according to what I know, Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge each have more than 5 mid-level fiend demons. Ghastly River is the most mysterious and no one knows how many mid-level fiend demons they have. However, they are publicly acknowledged as the strongest. That's because the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River is a WIRM." At that point, the Rat King glanced at Su Zimo and the others instinctively. He wasn't shocked or aghast as he had expected. Su Zimo and the other 4 were way too calm, as though they were listening to something extremely ordinary. Are the 5 of them slow to react? The Rat King lamented internally and cleared his throat, emphasizing once more, WIRMs are pure-blooded ferocious beasts with a trace of dragon's bloodline in their bodies. Although it's thin, there's a chance for them to cultivate into true dragons. "Oh," the 5 of them replied without changing their expressions. Su Zimo could be considered as half a dragon to begin with and was not worried about existences like Wyrms at all. Monkey and the others had fought against the Rakshasa race of the primordial 9 races before, and their horizons were naturally not something that ordinary demon beasts could compare to. The Rat King widened his beady eyes and puffed his cheeks. He was inexplicably furious. Little Fox was the first to react and clapped her hands. Wow, pure-blooded ferocious beasts. So strong. That's way too perfunctory. The Rat King's mouth twitched and he could not help but roll his eyes. Chapter 8:17. Actually, when the old territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain was still around, he was extremely strong and could even intimidate Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River, the Rat King continued. However, the old territorial lord encountered a strong enemy when he went out and was severely injured. His body was destroyed and his essence spirit escaped, but he died not long after. The current territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain is the only bloodline of the old territorial lord. The reason why Howling Moon Mountain has not been annexed all these years is because Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River have different intentions and are wary of one another. Su Zimo nodded. The 3 territories were worried that the other party would take advantage of them if they fought against Howling Moon Mountain. That was the reason why they did not make a move. However, if the 3 territories came to a consensus, Howling Moon Mountain would be destroyed instantly. Brothers, why have you guys returned? The Rat King's beady eyes darted around as he probed. Linghu raised his chin and declared haughtily, naturally, we're back to take over the mountain and replace it. Who are you trying to fool? The Rat King pouted his lips and sneered internally. In his opinion, the spirit tiger must be spouting nonsense. It was a fool's dream for a few low-level fiend demons like them to think that they could rule over this territory. You don't believe me? Monkey walked over and hugged the Rat King's shoulders with a grin. I do. The Rat King shuddered and replied hurriedly with a smile. Monkey's smile deepened. Since you believe me, come and help us. We're lacking manpower. Seems like you know what's good for you, lad. The Rat King lamented internally but could only grit his teeth and say, well, I'm indebted to the old territorial lord and the current territorial lord treats me rather well as well. Suddenly, the Rat King had an idea and said, brothers, actually, you guys are not to blame for what happened back then. I can clarify this matter in front of the territorial lord. Brothers, you guys are already fiend demons. Given your capabilities, you might be able to take on the role of protector for Howling Moon Mountain. Alright. Suddenly, Su Zimo spoke, we'll have to trouble you then. Alright. The Rat King patted his chest and said loudly, don't worry, everyone. I will do my best to plead for mercy on your behalf. The feudal lord is very wise and will not pursue the matter of the past. Su Zimo nodded and said, yes, you can go back. The Rat King was slightly taken aback. You're letting me go just like that? He didn't expect things to go so smoothly. After being stunned for a moment, the Rat King reacted quickly and cupped his fists. Brothers, please wait here for the good news. I'll be back as soon as possible. The Rat King walked out of the cave and soon disappeared into the night. Big brother, are we letting him go just like that? Linghu scratched his head and muttered, from what I can see, this Haozi has a wretched look on his face and doesn't seem too honest. Perhaps he'll turn around and lead a large group of people to surround and annihilate us. Su Zimo said meaningfully, let's see what they choose. 10 days later. In the cave, Su Zimo, who had been meditating, slowly opened his eyes. A divine light flashed in his eyes. Before long, Monkey and Linghu woke up from their cultivation as well. The rat's back. Monkey's ears twitched. I think he's the only one. Su Zimo nodded and stood up with a look of relief in his eyes. Although he did not know the attitude of the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain, at the very least, the rat did not plot against them behind their backs. Before long, the Rat King entered the cave and rubbed his hands with a smile. Hee, I didn't let you down. Brothers, come with me to meet the territorial lord. All right, Su Zimo agreed right away. Great. The Rat King praised, brother, don't think too much about it. The position of protector is high and the territorial lord wants to meet you guys personally before making a decision. Of course, Su Zimo nodded. Thereafter, Su Zimo's group of 5 followed the Rat King out of the cave and headed for the center of Howling Moon Mountain. With the Rat King leading the way, although Su Zimo's group of 5 looked unfamiliar, they were unobstructed the entire way and arrived before a cave abode in the center of Howling Moon Mountain before long. Linghu and Little Fox were curious and looked around along the way. Su Zimo, on the other hand, had a calm expression. He had been here when his essence spirit left his body 10 days ago. Right now, he could only be considered as revisiting the place. Brothers, follow me. The Rat King led the way into the cave abode and Su Zimo's group of 5 followed closely behind. The moment they entered the cave abode, their eyes lit up. The cave abode was rather spacious and the 4 walls were embedded with fist-sized pearls that shone brightly in a grand manner. Tisk, tisk. Linghu's eyes lit up and he could not wait to pluck all the night illumination pearls and stuff them in his pockets. Insolent. At this moment, a loud shout was heard. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a dark-faced man sitting in the middle of the room not far away. He was expressionless as he looked at them. Su Zimo had seen this person before and naturally knew that this was the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain, Black Wolf. Below Black Wolf's left sat a woman in a white veil. She sat there quietly without even raising her head. That was the deputy territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain, Chan Rui. Just now, the hollering did not come from either of them. Behind Hei Lang, there was even a burly man standing. His eyes were like copper bells and he was 10 feet tall. Burly and muscular, his exposed arms bulged with bronze muscles that resembled rocks. The burly man spoke once more with a rumbling aura. Why aren't you greeting the 2 territorial lords? The Rat King whispered hurriedly, this is the leader of the protectors of Howling Moon Mountain. His name is Tong Nyo and he's the strongest in combat. Brothers, it's best not to offend him. Monkey pouted his lips with a prideful expression. Su Zimo's group of 5 did not move at all. Tong Nyo's gaze froze and he was enraged. Just as he was about to explode, Black Wolf waved it off. Tong Nyo panted heavily and held it in for the time being. He merely glared at Su Zimo's group of 5 with an unfriendly expression. From the moment they entered the cave abode, Black Wolf had been sizing up Su Zimo's group of 5 with a frightening gaze. He was a mid-level fiend demon and a territorial lord. He exuded a powerful aura and might that ordinary demon beasts could not withstand. Most of them would kneel on the ground and take the initiative to greet him. However, he did not see any fear or cowardice on the faces of the 5 people before him. Even against 2 territorial lords, even against 2 mid-level fiend demons. The most special thing was that the scarlet-haired man in the lead dared to meet his gaze with a calm expression without any bit of uneasiness. Interesting, Black Wolf chuckled internally. Even Chan Rui raised her head and purposely glanced at Su Zimo. You guys killed 2 of my protectors and yet you dare to come knocking on my door. Aren't you afraid that I'll take you down personally? A moment later, Black Wolf spoke slowly with a sharp gaze that was filled with killing intent. Before Su Zimo could react, the Rat King was the first to jump and say hurriedly, Territorial Lord, didn't we agree to let bygones be bygones? Why you? Black Wolf's expression was cold as he said coldly, I'm going back on my words. Can't I do that? The Rat King was speechless and broke out in sweat. Chapter 8:18. Instantly, the atmosphere in the cave abode turned extremely oppressive. A murderous aura spread. Bronze Bull grinned and twisted his neck, smirking maliciously at Su Zimo and the others. He was waiting for Black Wolf's order to lunge over. Chan Rui did not raise her head and said nothing the entire time. However, unknowingly, two scimitars that were as thin as cicadas' wings had appeared in her hands. They were almost transparent and exuded a chilling aura. Black Wolf glared at Su Zimo without saying anything. What surprised him was that, from the beginning to the end, even when he revealed obvious killing intent, this person's expression didn't change at all. That pair of eyes was like the deep sea, without any ripples. "You're not afraid?" Black Wolf raised his brow. When Su Zimo heard that, he merely smiled indifferently. "If you wanted to kill us, why did you have to lure us here?" "All right." The killing intent between He Lang's brows suddenly dissipated as he nodded his head and revealed a smile. "Everything else aside, just the fact that you dared to enter my cave abode means that you are qualified to be a guardian of my Howling Moon Mountain." The Rat King was stunned. Bronze Bull was stunned as well. Su Zimo was the only one with a calm expression, as though he had expected this. "I heard about what happened previously as well. Although my fiend demons were in the wrong first, you killed many demons of Howling Moon Mountain and 2 protectors after all," Black Wolf said deeply. "You can be a protector of Howling Moon Mountain, but you'll be a sinner. You'll have to do your best in the future. That's for sure." Before Su Zimo could say anything, the Rat King chimed in with a bright smile. "Territorial Lord, isn't this a little hasty?" Bronze Bull was a little indignant and glanced askance at Su Zimo's group. He could not help but say, "This man has clearly just broken through and looks so young. How strong can he be?" The position of protector is no small matter. We have to test his skills no matter what. Let me play with you. Monkey's eyes flashed with a scarlet glint when he heard that they were going to fight and stood out immediately. Ever since he became a fiend demon, he had only fought once with the fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and had yet to enjoy himself. Naturally, he would not miss this rare opportunity. "You mean Monkey?" Bronze Bull laughed wildly and said, "All of you, come at me together." At this moment, Su Zimo suddenly said, "Actually, I didn't come here to be a protector." "Oh." He Lang frowned slightly and asked, "What do you want to do?" Su Zimo's eyes shone brightly as he said slowly, "I want to be the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain." As soon as he finished speaking, the cave instantly became silent. The Rat King was dumbfounded. His expression was one of shock. "Oh my God, is he crazy? A low-level fiendish demon actually came here to provoke a territorial lord? It's over, it's over. I'm going to die because of you." Chan Rui raised her head and looked seriously at Su Zimo for the first time, as if she wanted to see through him. He Lang narrowed his eyes with a ferocious glint. Although he was seated motionlessly, he exuded a dangerous aura that was much more frightening than just now. This time round, he was truly intent to kill. Brazen and ignorant. Bronze Bull's eyes widened as he leaped up and lunged towards Su Zimo, hollering, "How dare you behave so atrociously in front of your Grandpa Bull? Die!" Against the incoming Bronze Bull, Su Zimo did not budge at all. A figure flashed by beside him. Monkey had already darted out. Monkey raised his fist and his flesh expanded, as though it was transforming into a gigantic seal in midair, smashing it against Bronze Bull's fist viciously. Boom! There was a deafening sound. Bronze Bull grunted dully and was sent flying. Monkey retreated a few steps back as well and flung his arms, rearing his head in laughter. "Awesome! Let's do it again." The Rat King's eyes widened and he nearly bit his tongue. Bronze Bull was the leader of the protectors of Howling Moon Mountain and was the strongest. There was no fiend demon that could take him head-on. To think that Monkey would be able to take on Bronze Bull head-on without being disadvantaged despite having just cultivated into a fiend demon. However, the Rat King knew that Monkey was not the strongest in this group, it was the scarlet-haired man. Could this man truly be able to? A thought flashed through the Rat King's mind and it gave him a fright. Thereafter, he rejected that thought and lamented internally, "Impossible. Absolutely impossible. No matter how strong he is in combat, there's no way he can threaten the territorial lord. Black Wolf did not move and merely glared at Su Zimo. In reality, his spirit consciousness had already spread out to scout the surrounding 50 kilometers. In his opinion, it was impossible for the 5 low-level fiend demons before him to usurp his position as territorial lord. It was a complete joke. However, the strange thing was that there was nothing unusual in the vicinity. There was not even the slightest bit of movement. Black Wolf asked with a cold expression, "Tell me, who sent you guys?" In his opinion, the reason why Su Zimo was so calm was because he definitely had a backup plan. There was a high chance that it was from Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave or Ghastly River. Black Wolf, you're thinking too much. Su Zimo smiled with a deep gaze, as though he could read Black Wolf's mind. He said leisurely, "I'm not from Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave or Ghastly River. There are only the 5 of us." Hei Lang also laughed. He grinned, revealing a row of sharp white teeth. "Interesting. You want to take my seat with just the 5 of you?" Su Zimo said, "Actually, you don't have to be hostile towards me." Ha 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 ha. As though he had heard the greatest joke in the world, Black Wolf laughed thunderously. "You came to my territory to provoke me and you're telling me that I don't have to be hostile towards you?" Su Zimo nodded and replied naturally, "That's because I'm trying to save and help you by becoming the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain." "What do you mean?" Black Wolf retracted his smile and asked expressionlessly. Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River have been coveting Howling Moon Mountain for a long time. If the 3 territories join forces, Howling Moon Mountain will be destroyed instantly. Su Zimo said indifferently, "From what I know, Cyclone Cave has been restless recently and sent fiend demons to spy on you a few days ago. You even killed 2 of them." Black Wolf's expression changed and disbelief flashed through the depths of his eyes. Most of the fiend demons of Howling Moon Mountain knew about Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River. However, he and Chan Rui were the only ones who knew about what happened that night. How did this person know? Instinctively, Black Wolf looked at Chan Rui. In fact, he was even suspicious of Chan Rui in his heart. Chan Rui's gaze was clear as she looked at Black Wolf without dodging and shook her head. Instantly, the doubts in Black Wolf's heart vanished. After a moment of silence, he said, "The 3 territories are joining forces to snatch my position as the territorial lord. It's the same for you. What's the difference between the 2 of you? Save me and help me?" What a joke. "Of course it's different," Su Zimo said. "Firstly, I won't harm your life if I become the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. Secondly, Howling Moon Mountain will still exist." Black Wolf remained silent. Those 2 points were indeed important. He had a deep grudge with the 3 territories. If the 3 territories were to join forces, he would not be able to escape death and Howling Moon Mountain would cease to exist as well, divided by the 3 territories. "As for saving you and helping you, that's even easier to understand," Su Zimo smiled. "I'm the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. Naturally, the matter of defending against the 3 territories will be left to me. All you have to do is support me." "All right, I understand everything now. There's only one question left." Black Wolf stood up slowly with a torrential ferocity. He glared at Su Zimo and sneered, "What rights do you have?" Chapter 819. Boom! With a deafening bang, victory was decided on the other side of the battlefield. Although Bronze Bull reverted to his true form, Monkey still grabbed his horns and slammed his face into the ground, creating a huge pit. Bronze Bull's face was covered in blood and he was disoriented from the fall, almost fainting. Monkey's bloodline was frightening and his combat strength was only second to Su Zimo and Night Spirit among the 7 of them. In his berserk state, Monkey could even fight against the Rakshasa race. Monkey had just cultivated an essence spirit and was considered as an early-stage nascent soul. Although Bronze Bull's cultivation realm was higher than Monkey's and he was considered as a late-stage nascent soul, he was no match for Monkey and was defeated in less than 10 breaths. Monkey did not kill him. After obtaining victory, he leaped and retreated. Bronze Bull struggled to stand up with a menacing expression and panted heavily. Demonic chi surged from his body and he almost lost his mind as he growled deeply, wanting to charge over once more. Back down. Black Wolf's voice sounded coldly and dignified. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Bronze Bull felt as though a basin of cold water was poured over him as his body shuddered and he gradually regained his senses. Although he was indignant, he could only retreat to the side. Black Wolf's gaze was fixed on Su Zimo the entire time and he said slowly with a cold expression. Tell me, what rights do you have? The 5 of you aren't qualified to sit on this seat. It's enough, Su Zimo smiled gently. The moment he said that, Su Zimo's figure flashed and he attacked the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain brazenly. Furthermore, the moment he attacked, he engulfed Black Wolf and Chan Rui single-handedly. How dare you? Black Wolf was enraged. The moment he hollered, he felt a figure flash before him and a torrential power surged over with a loud boom. It was suffocating and oppressive. Although he was a mid-level fiend demon, he could not withstand the envelopment of that power. It was too fast. The distance between the two of them was not far to begin with and Su Zimo had already closed in almost instantly. In fact, Black Wolf thought that he was hallucinating and he seemed to have heard the sound of a tsunami that shook his mind. What kind of demonic technique is this? It can actually make people hallucinate. Hei Lang looked over and saw the demonic aura surging around Su Zimo. His blood and chi circled around him, but there were no signs of mana surging. No, this isn't an illusion. The sound of the waves is real. In the blink of an eye, Hei Lang came to his senses and thought of a possibility. He exclaimed, "Tsunami blood." Even if the demon race paid attention to the quality and cultivation of their bloodline, very few demon race members could cultivate their bloodline to the level of tidal blood. Hei Lang didn't even have time to draw his weapon. He could only barely raise his arms to block the attack. Bang! Su Zimo's fist landed heavily on the intersection of Hei Lang's arms, producing a muffled sound as if he had been defeated. Yes! Hei Lang grunted and staggered back continuously. He felt his arms go numb and could no longer feel them. However, Su Zimo had not taken a single step back and still had the strength to attack Chan Rui. Hei Lang was shocked. He was a mid-level fiend demon and a territorial lord. His cultivation realm was a major cultivation realm higher than this person before him and he had many more years to temper his body with dermic powers. Even so, his bloodline and physique could not defend against this person's attack. What a terrifying burst! On the other side, Chan Rui retreated rapidly. Fortunately, she had already taken out her Dharma artifact and held it in her hands before this. Su Zimo charged over and Chan Rui narrowed her eyes. Her palm trembled and the curved saber in her hands streaked through the air with 2 cold flashes, slicing towards Su Zimo's wrist. The 2 slashes were extremely fast. Coupled with the fact that Su Zimo was charging at an extremely fast speed with a domineering aura, Chan Rui believed that even a mid-level fiend demon would not be able to dodge it. That's good as well. I'll sever one of your wrists as a lesson to you. That was what Chan Rui thought. Unexpectedly, Su Zimo did not dodge at all. Against the 2 incoming cold flashes, Su Zimo flicked his fingers gently. Clang! 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 A few fingernails popped out with a chilling aura and struck the 2 cold flashes accurately like razor blades. Clang! Clang! There were 2 crisp sounds and sparks flew everywhere. Chan Rui exclaimed and the web between her thumb and index finger tore as the 2 curved sabers flew out of her hands. The Rat King stood at the side with widened beady eyes and a shocked expression. He had thought that Su Zimo's combat strength would definitely be extraordinary. However, he could not have imagined that Su Zimo would be able to take on two opponents single-handedly and gain the upper hand completely. Hei Lang and Chan Rui were mid-level fiend demons after all and calmed down instantly after a slight fluster. Both of them retreated at almost the same time. Lad, you're strong in melee combat. However, that's not enough if you want to take over my position as territorial lord. Hei Lang's glabella shone as he hollered, watch out. No matter what, Su Zimo's formidable melee combat strength was enough for Hei Lang to cherish this talent and warn him out of goodwill because he could not bear to take the latter's life. Swoosh! Two powerful spirit consciousnesses engulfed over with endless might. This was a spirit consciousness attack that only mid-level fiend demons at Void Reversion Realm could use. If it was any other low-level fiend demon, their essence spirits would have shuddered against the might of the spirit consciousnesses and they would be suppressed so badly that they could not even use dermic powers. However, scarlet scales appeared on the scarlet-haired Een spirit in Su Zimo's consciousness and blocked the spirit consciousnesses outside. He was not affected at all by the spirit consciousnesses of the two territorial lords. Fufu, you don't have to hold back. Spirit consciousness attacks alone won't be able to affect me. Su Zimo chuckled and charged towards Hei Lang and Chan Rui in huge strides. Both Hei Lang and Chan Rui frowned. Both of them did not use their essence spirit secret skills because they did not want to hurt Su Zimo. The killing power of essence spirit secret skills was extremely frightening and the essence spirits of low-level fiend demons could not defend against it at all. If they could not defend against it, their essence spirits would be destroyed and they would die on the spot. However, both of them had no choice at that moment. Roar! Suddenly, a terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation burst forth in midair. The massive spirit consciousness condensed into a pitch-black, murderous black wolf that lunged towards Su Zimo. OM. On the other side, Chan Rui's spirit consciousness split into two in midair and transformed into two cold beams of light that arrived instantly. Two essence spirit attacks descended together. Su Zimo's footsteps slowed down as well with a grim expression. Those were essence spirit secret skills and were not something spirit consciousness attacks could compare to. If he dealt with them wrongly, his essence spirit would be damaged and he would suffer injuries that would be difficult to heal. After all, he was a low-level fiend demon at nascent soul realm and did not dare to be careless against a power of this level. Prior to this, he had only experienced the might of the two essence spirit secret skills from afar once. However, that time was far from being able to experience it as vividly as he was now. Instantly, a thought crossed Su Zimo's mind. Even if his two essence spirits fused and released a spirit consciousness attack, it would be difficult for him to defend against the two essence spirit secret skills. Chapter 820. If he did not understand Black Wolf and Chan Rui's methods, Su Zimo would definitely be flustered if he was suddenly attacked by essence spirit secret skills. However, he had experienced the might of essence spirit secret skills in the past and had already come up with a way to deal with them. With a single thought, streams of golden light extended from Su Zimo's left wrist in a sacred and flawless manner, forming an indestructible barrier around him. Boom! Clang! Clang! In midair, Black Wolf, who was condensed from his spirit consciousness, collided against the barrier. Two curved sabers that were as thin as cicada wings slashed against the barrier with a loud sound. The golden barrier trembled endlessly and ripples appeared one after another. The golden barrier managed to defend against the two essence spirit secret skills. This, Black Wolf and Chan Rui's expressions changed starkly. Ordinary dermic weapons could defend against dermic arts, weapons, and many other forces. However, they could not defend against the power of essence spirits. Against essence spirit secret skills, one had to either defend against them with the power of essence spirit or use special essence spirit dermic weapons. However, essence spirit dermic weapons were way too rare and difficult to refine. Even in the cultivation world, they were extremely rare, let alone in the world of demons. In fact, they were even rarer than connate dermic weapons. Now that the golden barrier blocked their essence spirit secret skills, it meant that the person opposite them possessed an essence spirit dermic weapon. Furthermore, that essence spirit dermic weapon was extremely powerful. This person was only at the nascent soul realm, and yet, he was able to defend against their combined attacks with that essence spirit dermic weapon. Black Wolf and Chan Rui were right. Indeed, Su Zimo had an essence spirit dermic weapon in his possession. The dermic weapon was given to him by the old monk at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley. It was the cornerstone treasure of Daming Monastery in the past, the Mingwang prayer beads. Initially, there were 6 Mingwang prayer beads, and they were worn by the titular disciple of Daming Monastery, Monk Daming. However, with the passage of time, the world had changed and Monk Daming had long passed away. This string of Mingwang prayer beads had been passed around and only 4 of them were left. They had become incomplete. Even so, the 4 Mingwang prayer beads were not to be underestimated. In the Jin Dan realm, it was still difficult for Su Zimo to control the Mingwang prayer beads. He could only wear them on his wrist, which could block the probing of some divine senses. It was not until he cultivated his primordial spirit that he was able to use some of the power of the Mingwang prayer beads. Of course, he would only be able to unleash the true power of the Mingwang prayer beads after reaching the return to void stage. Now, the Mingwang prayer beads could only be used to defend his primordial spirit. But this was already enough. It was enough to withstand the essence soul secret techniques of the 2 territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain. The battlefield was constantly changing. The fact that Black Wolf and Chan Rui's essence spirit secret skills were ineffective meant that they would have to endure Su Zimo's suffocating melee attacks. Bang! 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 A series of noises could be heard. Figures were sent flying and swayed repeatedly. In less than 10 breaths, Black Wolf and Chan Rui were sent flying one after another, slamming heavily against the stone walls behind them and sliding down slowly. Su Zimo stood not far away from them silently. His eyes were clear and his clothes were spotless and neat, as though he had not attacked at all. It was a complete defeat. Black Wolf and Chan Rui's faces were pale and they felt as though their tendons and bones were about to crack. However, they grit their teeth and did not make a single sound. Both of them looked at Su Zimo with conflicted expressions. They were smart and could clearly sense that just now, this person was holding back intentionally. Otherwise, given his methods, it would have been extremely easy for him to kill them after seizing the initiative. Suddenly, Black Wolf thought of something and felt a sense of trepidation. If he just now had gone back on his words and given the order to kill this person, he would have been a corpse lying on the ground by now. At the same time that he pardoned Su Zimo, he was also pardoning himself. In reality, Black Wolf's thoughts were not far from the truth. That was indeed the reason why Su Zimo came this time round. They wanted to take over the mountain but did not have any helpers under their command. Naturally, it would be for the best if he could take in Black Wolf and Chan Rui without bloodshed. Bronze Bull's mouth was agape and his eyes were widened, his jaw almost dropped to the ground. He truly had not expected this to be the outcome of this battle. 2 territorial lords joined forces and yet, they lost to a low-level fiend demon who had just broken through. If he had not witnessed it personally, he would not have believed it. Territorial Lord, are you guys alright? Bronze Bull asked carefully. Black Wolf waved it off and stood up, looking at Su Zimo as he said slowly, I've lost. Indeed, you're qualified to be the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. However, I only acknowledge your potential. Black Wolf emphasized, given your potential, if you continue cultivating and become a mid-level fiend demon, there won't be anyone in the vicinity who can threaten you. But right now, Black Wolf did not continue. Chan Rui added, if you want to resolve the crisis of Howling Moon Mountain with the methods and essence spirit dermic weapon just now, I'm afraid it's not enough. I have my own plans for how to resolve the crisis of Howling Moon Mountain, Su Zimo said indifferently, all you have to do is tell me if you want to submit to me. Instantly, the cave abode went silent. Black Wolf was silent with a hesitant expression. Anyone who could become a territorial lord was no small character. Now that he was asked to abdicate his position and submit to someone else, he was finally conflicted. However, He Lang knew that if he waited for the 3 territories to attack, his situation would only be worse than it was now. Not only would he die, Howling Moon Mountain would cease to exist as well. That was something he could not accept the most. At that thought, Black Wolf gripped his fists slightly and said in a deep voice, "Since I've lost, I have nothing else to say. I'm willing to give up my position as territorial lord as long as you can protect Howling Moon Mountain and treat every single demon here well." "Territorial lord!" Bronze Bull shouted. Black Wolf waved it off. "I've already made up my mind. There's no need to say anything more." "All right." Su Zimo nodded and declared, "From this day forth, Howling Moon Mountain will have a new deputy territorial lord, Black Wolf. Chan Rui will continue to be the deputy territorial lord and her position will remain unchanged." Monkey and the others were excited. This meant that from this moment forth, the 5 of them would have a territory of their own. Pondering for a moment, Black Wolf cupped his fists. "I still don't know your name, territorial lord. Also, what is your true form, territorial lord?" To be fair, even though he had already given up his position as territorial lord, Black Wolf was still indignant towards this young man before him. However, he felt that he could not see through this person. Up till this point of their fight, he did not even know what this person's true form was. It was the same for Chan Rui. Su Zimo thought for a moment and said, "From this day forth, you guys can call me M.O. M.O. Black Wolf and Chan Rui murmured softly. The names of demons were much more casual than the names of cultivators. Even one-word names were extremely common. There were also many demon beasts like Monkey who could not be bothered to give themselves names. The 2 of them exchanged glances and could see the confusion in each other's hearts. Su Zimo only answered a single question. Black Wolf and Chan Rui were tactful and did not continue asking. Chapter 821. The territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain had changed. The news spread rapidly and caused a huge uproar in the entire territory. The only demons that witnessed the battle in the territorial lord's cave abode were the Rat King and Bronze Bull. Most of the demon race were confused. They only heard that after the original territorial lord, Black Wolf, met a few people, the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain changed and Black Wolf gave up his position to become the 2nd deputy territorial lord. Everything happened way too quickly and peacefully. It was as though Howling Moon Mountain had a change of territorial lord overnight without any signs of invasion. After the new territorial lord took over, there was no grand ceremony and everything ended after Black Wolf and Chan Rui made an announcement. The demons did not even know what the new territorial lord looked like. Everything about this matter was strange. "I heard that there are 5 new territorial lords and they call each other brothers. There are 5 of them and I've even met 4 of them. One of them is a monkey demon, one is a tiger demon, one is a crane demon and one is a fox demon. However, what? However, the 4 of them are only low-level fiend demons and their cultivation is only at early stage nascent soul." "Ah. How is that possible? Low-level fiend demons are the territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain. I heard that the leader of the 5 brothers is the current Grand Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain and he's the strongest. He's definitely a mid-level fiend demon. Have you seen the Grand Territorial Lord before? What's his true form? I've never seen him before. I don't think the Grand Territorial Lord has ever shown himself before. He's extremely mysterious and I only heard that he's called Mo. During this period of time, demons would often gather in Howling Moon Mountain and discuss excitedly. In less than 3 days, the news had already spread to Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River and caused quite a stir as well. In the depths of a sinister and blood-filled cave, there was a spacious hall. Within the hall, there was a thin, blood-colored red line that pierced through the stone walls on both sides of the hall like a blood vessel. A man sat on the blood line steadily and held a jade cup in his left hand. It was filled with a scarlet liquid that was still warm. The man placed the jade cup under his nose and took a deep sniff. His eyes were half closed as he revealed an intoxicated expression. The territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain has changed. Could it be that Black Sand Ridge or Ghastly River got there first? The man muttered to himself, no, they shouldn't be from these two territories. After pausing for a while, the man suddenly opened his eyes. A bloody light flashed as he said in a deep voice, "Go and investigate again." "Yes." A voice echoed in the hall. Then, the sound of wings flapping could be heard. A streak of blood-red light flew out from the darkness above the hall and quickly disappeared. The man unhurriedly drank the red liquid in the jade cup in one gulp. He stuck out his scarlet tongue and licked the corner of his mouth, saying, delicious. Black Sand Ridge. During this period of time, the demons of Black Sand Ridge had been living in fear. The young lord of Black Sand Ridge had lost his physical body and returned with severe injuries. However, the culprit was still nowhere to be found. Not long after, the young master of Black Sand Ridge failed his possession and died completely. There were many restrictions to an essence spirit possession and it was extremely dangerous. If one wanted to possess a body, the cultivation realm of the possessed individual could not be too low. At the very least, they had to be at nascent soul realm and had unlocked their spirit platform. As for the possessed individual, their cultivation realms could not be too different. Otherwise, if the essence spirit was too strong and entered the body of the possessed individual, the latter's body would not be able to withstand it and would explode into a blood mist. In other words, there was a chance of success if both parties were of similar cultivation realms. The fight for possession was actually a fight for the essence spirit. If their cultivation realms were of similar cultivation realms, it meant that the outcome of the fight for the essence spirit was unpredictable. In the process of possession, there were many cases where the possession failed and the primordial spirit was devoured instead. That was the case for the young master of Black Sand Ridge. At the end of the day, possession was not the orthodox path. That was because possession was equivalent to seizing the life of others to extend one's own lifespan. It was not an exaggeration to call it the evil path. However, all living beings cultivated for longevity. Although they knew that possession was an evil art, there was no lack of orthodox cultivators who would resort to unscrupulous means to extend their lives. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge was enraged after the death of the young master of Black Sand Ridge and killed many demon beasts. In fact, 2 protectors were killed by him personally because they said the wrong thing. All the demons knew that if they could not catch the culprit, there would be countless more demon beasts that would have to die with him. This day, a piece of news from Howling Moon Mountain broke the tension of Black Sand Ridge. 5 people. Monkey, Linghu, Crane and Fox. All of them are low-level fiend demons. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge narrowed his eyes with a sinister killing intent. If he was not wrong, there was a high chance that the 5 of them were the culprits behind the death of his child. To think that they would head to Howling Moon Mountain. Fufu. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge had a menacing expression as he smiled sinisterly. Let's see where else you can hide after I destroy Howling Moon Mountain. Ghastly River. A young man in luxurious light blue robes laid on a colorful coral bed in a relaxed manner. He sipped on fine wine and listened to the news from the river demons under his command. Oh, the young man in luxurious robes was extremely calm after hearing the entire news and merely replied. Territorial Lord, I heard that Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge have been on the move recently. There's a high chance that those 2 territories are going to make a move on Howling Moon Mountain. A river demon standing beside the coral bed said in a deep voice. The man in luxurious robes waved it off. A black scorpion and a smelly bat. There's nothing to fear. The river demon continued, I heard that the new territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain is called Mo. He's rather mysterious and has yet to reveal himself. I'm sure he must have some tricks up his sleeves since he was able to force Black Wolf to retreat. His combat strength can't be that high if he's sworn siblings with 4 low-level fiend demons. The man in luxurious robes smiled gently and declared proudly, if that man has some tricks up his sleeves, I'll take pity on his talent and try to take him in as my subordinate. If he's ordinary, I'll just kill him. When are you going to make your move, Territorial Lord? In a few days, I guess, the man in luxurious robes said in a deep voice, there seems to be some sort of treasure appearing in the direction of Howling Moon Mountain in the next 1 or 2 months. We can't let others beat us to it. His true form was that of a Wyrm. There was a thin trace of the bloodline of dragons left in his body. However, that thin trace of the bloodline of dragons was enough for him to become one of the top existences among ferocious beasts. The aura of dragons that drifted over from the direction of Howling Moon Mountain was faintly discernible. Other demon beasts might not be able to sense it, but as a Wyrm, he could vaguely sense it. At the very least, he felt his heart skip a beat when he was enveloped by that aura. That was a might that came from the depths of his bloodline. That aura was definitely the appearance of a treasure, and it had something to do with dragons. If I can obtain that treasure, my strength will definitely increase tremendously. In fact, I might even have a chance of turning into a true dragon in my lifetime. The river demon was shocked and knelt on the ground hurriedly, shouting, Congratulations, Territorial Lord. The man in luxurious robes rose slowly and gazed into the distance, saying in a deep voice, if that day comes, even the entire 1,000 Demon Valley won't be able to trap me, let alone this puny ghastly river. Chapter 822. The reason why Su Zimo did not appear was not because he was trying to be mysterious. However, after subduing Black Wolf and Chan Rui the other day, there was a huge commotion in his consciousness. He had no choice but to enter seclusion. The creation Qinglian had finally awakened. The greatest benefit of having 2 primordial spirits was that the 2 primordial spirits could cultivate independently without affecting each other. Most of the time in Howling Moon Mountain, Su Zimo focused on the scarlet-haired Een spirit while the black-haired Essence spirit continued cultivating in a corner. Even when Su Zimo was fighting against Black Wolf and Chan Rui in his cave abode, the black-haired Essence spirit did not stop cultivating. After cultivating day and night without rest, he finally had a delightful harvest. The creation Qinglian had awakened. Su Zimo made a few rough arrangements and entered seclusion right away. Time was tight for him. Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River could attack Howling Moon Mountain at any moment. This was definitely going to be a tough battle. The only way he could truly gain a foothold in 1,000 Demon Valley and no longer have to flee after winning this battle. Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm and had 3 top-tier spirit refinement techniques with him. There were still many things that he had to cultivate and improve. As long as he had sufficient time, his combat strength would increase at an unimaginable speed. Therefore, Su Zimo did not intend to rush out of his seclusion this time round. Ever since he left Dragon Burial Valley, he had been fighting his way through, suppressing paragons, becoming the number 1 of the phenomenon ranking, defeating Deen and suppressing 2 of the 9 races. He was invincible without stopping. This time round, he had to stop and enter seclusion for real to consolidate his cultivation. After entering the secret chamber, Su Zimo assumed a lotus position and entered his consciousness with a single thought. A green lotus platform hovered beneath the black-haired Essence spirit that was brimming with vitality. A circle of green petals had already grown around the lotus platform. There were a total of 9 petals. The petals were newly born and were tender and had yet to fully grow. There were 9 tiny holes on the lotus platform and tender green lotus seeds appeared one after another, shimmering with a crystalline glow. Su Zimo could clearly sense that Qinglian was absorbing the power of the black-haired primordial spirit and was slowly growing. But at the same time, Su Zimo was surprised to find that Qinglian was also helping him refine his spirit. On the lotus platform, rays of light spewed out from the 9 holes and circled the black-haired essence spirit, tempering it continuously. Under the tempering of the 9 rays of light, the black-haired essence spirit was clearly stronger and more condensed. In fact, it was even comparable to the scarlet-haired Yin spirit. Sensing the changes, Su Zimo was overjoyed. Presumably, this was one of the mysteries of Qinglian's creation. Red-haired Yin spirits originated from dragons and were extremely powerful. In fact, at the nascent soul stage, they could leave their physical bodies and roam the world. Although the black-haired essence spirit cultivated the Purple Thunder Manual and the Great Day Rulai Sutra, it still could not reach such a level. Now that the black-haired essence spirit was tempered by Qinglian, there was hope for it to be able to roam the world spiritually at the nascent soul realm as well. Of course, although Qinglian was successfully awakened, this treasure required the nourishment of the power of the essence spirit and was growing extremely slowly. Monk Yin Lu once said that if Qinglian could reach grade 4, it would be comparable to a Khanate perfected Lord Dermic weapon. At grade 5, it would be comparable to a Khanate Void Reversion Dermic weapon. Right now, Qinglian could barely be considered as grade 1. Given this speed, it would take a few hundred years for it to grow to grade 4. Su Zimo was secretly speechless. It was no wonder why this treasure passed through dozens of paragons, but most of them were burdened by it and no one dared to touch it anymore. Even with 2 heaven-grade cultivation techniques as support, the black-haired essence spirit still needed a few hundred years. For other cultivators, it would take at least 1,000 years for them to nurture Qinglian to grade 4. However, Jining Zhenjuan only had 1,000 years of lifespan. Which paragon could afford to wait that long? Thankfully, Su Zimo did not only have the black-haired essence spirit, he also had the scarlet-haired Yin spirit. With 2 essence spirits nourishing at the same time, Qinglian's growth speed would increase by a lot. The fact that Su Zimo had 2 essence spirits meant that he could refine 2 destiny dermic weapons at the same time. The destiny dermic weapon of the black-haired essence spirit was already confirmed to be the creation Qinglian. However, the scarlet-haired Yin spirit's destiny dermic weapon was still undecided. Right now, Su Zimo had 3 treasures with him that could be used as his destiny dermic weapon. Mingwang Prayer Beads, Mystic Magnet Mountain and Bronze Square Tripod. The Mingwang Prayer Beads were the cornerstone treasure of Daming Monastery and there was naturally no need to elaborate on how precious and powerful they were. Unfortunately, the Mingwang Prayer Beads were incomplete right now. Furthermore, the Mingwang prayer beads were items of the Buddhist monasteries and were not suitable for the scarlet-haired Yin spirit to refine them. The Mystic Magnet Mountain was one of the 7 ancient unique treasures. This treasure could not be considered as a spirit weapon or a dermic weapon. However, it possessed extraordinary and unique abilities. If used appropriately, it could be used with a surprise move. However, if it was refined into a destiny dermic weapon, its abilities might not be unleashed. As for the bronze square tripod, the origin of this treasure was unknown and it was also extremely damaged with cracks all over it. However, after obtaining it, it helped Su Zimo tide over his difficulties time and time again. Everything else aside, in terms of toughness, Su Zimo had never seen anything that could shake this gigantic tripod. After pondering for a long time, Su Zimo finally made up his mind to refine the bronze square tripod. In his cave abode, Su Zimo assumed a lotus position with his eyes closed motionlessly, as though he was asleep. However, in reality, the 2 essence spirits in his consciousness were cultivating at the same time without slacking off at all. While the scarlet-haired Yin spirit cultivated the Yin spirit section, it was also refining the bronze square tripod, leaving spirit consciousness imprints on it to establish connections. While the black-haired essence spirit cultivated the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra, it was also refining the creation Qinglian. Among the 3 top-tier cultivation techniques, the Yin spirit section did not record any dermic arts and was completely a spirit refinement technique. Only the Yang spirit section recorded a dermic art and an essence spirit secret skill. Those 2 secret skills had extremely high requirements for one's essence spirit. Furthermore, there were many obscure words in the two secret skills of the Yang Spirit section that seemed to contain endless power and were difficult to understand. According to the records of the Yang Spirit section, those two secret skills were the most terrifying killing techniques of the Desolate Ocean Dragon King. Su Zimo felt regretful that he could not cultivate those two secret skills for the time being. The true strength of the Great Day Rulai Sutra was that it could conjure the supreme Dharma characteristic of the Buddhist monasteries, the Rulai Dharmic body. The early stages of that cultivation technique focused on spirit refinement. There was an essence spirit secret skill recorded within. Unfortunately, Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm and was not at the level where he could cultivate essence spirit secret skills. As for the Purple Thunder Manual, it recorded some Dharmic arts in the early stages. The black-haired essence spirit cultivated those Dharmic arts while refining the creation Qinglian. Day after day, time flew by. In the blink of an eye, Su Zimo had been in seclusion for half a year. In the secret chamber, a figure sat there silently. His hair was scarlet at times and black at other times. Occasionally, electric arcs would flash on the surface of his body with crackling sounds. Su Zimo did not move at all for half a year. On the surface, he did not seem to have changed and was still dressed in his green robes. However, if one closed their eyes, they would be able to sense a shuddering aura in the secret chamber. It was as though an ancient demon was devouring the world. Chapter 823. This day, dark clouds filled the skies above Howling Moon Mountain with howling winds. A thunderstorm was imminent. Black Wolf and Chan Rui walked out of their cave abodes one after another and raised their heads, frowning slightly with grim expressions. Dark clouds loomed over the city. Amidst these ink-like clouds, the two of them could smell a wisp of murderous intent. At their cultivation realm, they would have a mysterious sense towards danger, as though they were struck by a whim. Is it finally here? Chan Rui murmured softly. Black Wolf said in a deep voice, pass down the order. Prepare for battle. Understood. The Rat King retreated with cupped fists and disappeared before long. Right then, Monkey, Linghu, Ching Ching and Little Fox came out of seclusion one after another and arrived. Black Wolf swept his gaze across the four of them but did not catch sight of that figure. He hesitated and could not help but ask, a storm is coming. Should we invite Territorial Lord Emotu? He's in seclusion. There's no need to disturb him, Monkey waved it off. If a great enemy truly arrives, he'll naturally come out of seclusion. The moment he said that, a strange rustling sound could be heard from afar. It turned clearer and sounded as though countless ants were crawling on the ground. The ancient trees swayed and snapped one after another. Initially, it was a patch of lush greenery in the distance. However, as the rustling sound approached, the lush greenery could be seen fading and turning into a withered yellow before long. In the blink of an eye, countless plants withered and their life force was severed. What a potent poison! Ching Ching frowned and took a deep breath. Chan Rui said, someone from Black Sand Ridge should be here. At that moment, the demon army of Howling Moon Mountain had already gathered. There were more than 10,000 Jin Dan realm spirit demons and more than 50 low-level fiend demons. The only mid-level fiend demons were Black Wolf and Chan Rui, all of them were gathered here. Before long, the withered yellow in the distance had already spread to the front. All the demons focused their gazes. A large, densely packed scorpion army was charging towards this place. Everywhere they passed, there was no life, and everything was turned into yellow soil. At the front, there were 100 low-level fiend demons in human form standing on black scorpions. Their leader wore black robes and had a grim expression. He gave off a nauseating stench. It was the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge. Behind him were 5 mid-level fiend demons with powerful auras. The expressions of the demons of Howling Moon Mountain changed slightly. The invasion of the Black Sand Ridge army was clearly stronger than Howling Moon Mountain. Hei Lang clenched his fists slightly and said in a deep voice, Scorpion, you finally couldn't hold back. I'm not here for your Howling Moon Mountain. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge swept his cold gaze past Black Wolf and Chan Rui before landing on Monkey and the other three. He asked coldly, "Did you guys kill anyone in Black Sand Ridge half a year ago?" "I have, so what?" Monkey raised his head slightly with a prideful expression and asked with a sneer. "All right." The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge nodded. "Since you've admitted to it, that saves us a lot of trouble. Today, you will be buried with my son." "That scorpion?" Frowning, the spirit tiger replied, "I remember that he escaped back then. However, he failed his possession later on and died." The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge said word by word with a chilling tone. Linghu chuckled and rolled his eyes. "He can't blame us for that. He can only blame himself for being too stupid." "You must have a death wish." The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge grit his teeth and shifted his gaze slowly towards Hei Lang, saying coldly, "Hei Lang, hand the four of them to me and I might spare your life." Hei Lang merely smiled and shook his head without saying anything. There was no way out for him and Howling Moon Mountain. "I've long heard that the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain has changed and it's a few low-level fiend demons. Fufu, I didn't believe it initially. But now, it seems like the rumors are true." Another voice sounded in midair. Immediately after, dark clouds rumbled and figures descended one after another, descending in the vicinity. There were at least tens of thousands of them and they filled the entire mountain range. The person in the lead had a gaunt face. He grinned, revealing his sharp teeth and a sinister aura. It was the overlord of Cyclone Cave. Behind the territorial lord of Cyclone Cave stood 7 mid-level fiend demons with a murderous aura. The territorial lord of Cyclone Cave concealed his demons within the dark clouds and arrived with the wind. It was an extremely shocking sight for him to suddenly descend on Howling Moon Mountain. Hei Lang and Chan Rui exchanged glances and could see the shock in each other's eyes. Notwithstanding, Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave already had the upper hand in terms of numbers of spirit demons and low-level fiend demons. In terms of numbers of mid-level fiend demons, those two territories had an absolute advantage as well. Including the territorial lord, Black Sand Ridge had 6 mid-level fiend demons. Including the territorial lord, Cyclone Cave had 8. Even if Hei Lang and Chan Rui were to fight the two territorial lords one-on-one, they might not be able to win, let alone the remaining 12 mid-level fiend demons. Although the new territorial lord, Mo, was strong, he had just advanced to the nascent soul realm after all. Given his cultivation realm, how could he defend against the combined attacks of 12 mid-level fiend demons? Hei Lang took a deep breath of air. The territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain has indeed changed. It's these guys beside me. Ha 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 ha. The territorial lord of Cyclone Cave reared his head in laughter, as though he had just heard the greatest joke in the world. To think that you would give up your position to a few low-level fiend demons. How ridiculous and comical. Hei Lang, you guys have embarrassed yourselves. The demons of Howling Moon Mountain lowered their heads one after another, feeling indignant and ashamed. Even the demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain could not understand what was going on, let alone outsiders. Hei Lang's expression was terrible. This was truly unpleasant to hear. There was no way to explain it either. Was he supposed to admit that he had lost to a low-level fiend demon in front of everyone? The territorial lord of Cyclone Cave continued, Hei Lang, Chan Rui, you guys won't be able to escape death even if you give up your position. Half a year ago, the two of you killed 2 fiend demons under my command. Today, I'll have you guys pay with your blood. The moment he said that, the atmosphere around Howling Moon Mountain turned tense. The 3 factions could fight at any moment. Splash! Suddenly, a torrential downpour poured down. Although the downpour was heavy, it could not extinguish the killing intent of the demons. The entire forest was filled with a killing intent and the stench of blood. The rainwater drenched the clothes of the demons before long, and bean-sized raindrops slid down their faces slowly. However, none of them moved. Any movement at this moment could lead to a huge battle. Interesting, another voice with a hint of mockery sounded amidst the sound of the rain. It's him. Hey Lang, the territorial lords of Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge and all the mid-level fiend demons were shocked as they turned towards the voice. Rumble. A torrential wave blanketed the skies and surged over with a howl. The gigantic wave almost drowned the entire Howling Moon Mountain. The demons were shocked. Even the demon beasts of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave retreated instinctively, afraid that they would be swept in. However, just as the gigantic wave approached Howling Moon Mountain, it came to a stop, as though it was guided by some mysterious power. Such a destructive torrent was even more frightening for it to stop just like that. The waves surged in front of the demons, splashing everywhere. A figure stood proudly with his hands behind his back on the largest wave with a domineering aura. One after another, river demons could be vaguely seen floating in the torrent behind him. Chapter 824. The Territorial Lord of Ghastly River, Solitary Cloud. That was a name that he chose for himself. Most of the time, he was a lone wolf and he was the only mid-level fiend demon in Ghastly River. There were no deputy territorial lords, and that was the reason why he chose the word solitary. Dragons followed the clouds and tigers followed the winds. The word cloud implied his ambitions. One day, he would transform into a true dragon and head to the resting grounds of dragons to become one of the dragons. Solitary Cloud's appearance meant that Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River were gathered. The three territorial lords each occupied an area and exuded a powerful aura with a domineering aura. Black Wolf and Chan Rui's hearts sank once more. Solitary Cloud stood on the waves with his hands behind his back, looking down at the many demon beasts on Howling Moon Mountain with an indifferent expression. Black Sand Ridge is here to seek revenge for your young master and is looking for the 4 low-level fiend demons. Cyclone Cave is here to seek revenge for their subordinates and is looking for Black Wolf and Chan Rui. Since that's the case, Howling Moon Mountain's territory shall belong to Ghastly River. Humph. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge harumphed coldly. Solitary Cloud, Howling Moon Mountain's territory is so huge. Can you take it all? Solitary Cloud, aren't you a little too greedy? The territorial lord of Cyclone Cave frowned with a dark expression as well. Although the two territorial lords were displeased, their tones were not forceful. Although Solitary Cloud was the only mid-level fiend demon in Ghastly River, his true form was a WYRM and his bloodline was frightening. He was a top-tier predator among pure-blooded ferocious beasts. Even if the two of them joined forces, they might not be a match for Solitary Cloud. Are the two of you indignant? Solitary Cloud's gaze shifted slowly and landed on the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. There was a bone-chilling killing intent in his tone. Although Black Wolf and Chan Rui were expressionless, they were secretly delighted when they saw that. The best scenario would be for Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River to fight. That way, Howling Moon Mountain would have a chance of survival. The expressions of the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave turned terrible against Solitary Cloud's threat. They were all lords of their own territories. Being threatened in front of so many people, it was only natural that they felt embarrassed. However, the two of them exchanged glances and came to a tacit understanding. Judging the situation, neither of them spoke up against Solitary Cloud. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge grit his teeth and suppressed his anger, declaring loudly, "Solitary Cloud, we'll discuss the matter of dividing the territory later. Right now, the most important thing is to destroy Howling Moon Mountain first." That's right. If we start fighting, Howling Moon Mountain will end up taking advantage of us. The domain lord of Cyclone Cave nodded as well. I'm fine with it. Solitary Cloud said calmly. The three of them were all territorial lords and some of them had even cultivated for thousands of years. Each of them was more experienced than the other. How could they allow Howling Moon Mountain to reap the benefits? Hee hee. Just then, a snicker came from the top of the mountain. It was filled with mockery and provocation. It was extremely ear-piercing. The demons looked towards the direction of the voice and saw a monkey standing at the top of the mountain. He carried a long rod that shone with golden light on his shoulder and had one hand on his waist. He was looking in the direction of the 3 territorial lords with a cold grin. This is Howling Moon Mountain. It's my territory. Monkey pouted his lips and patted Imminent on his shoulder, saying lazily, if you guys want to divide Howling Moon Mountain, you'll have to ask the fella in my hands first. The demons of Howling Moon Mountain were shocked. The 3 territorial lords frowned at the same time. Given the current situation, Howling Moon Mountain could be overturned at any moment with the arrival of the 3 territorial lords leading their demon armies. Who among the demons present could guarantee their survival? The 3 territorial lords ruled over a region with a domineering aura. Even mid-level fiend demons such as Black Wolf and Chan Rui were wary and cautious in such a situation, let alone low-level fiend demons. Who would have thought that a low-level fiend demon would dare to stand out and challenge the 3 territorial lords head-on? A low-level fiend demon of Black Sand Ridge could not hold it in any longer and jumped out, pointing at Monkey and hollering, "Wild Monkey, you have no right to speak here." Monkey glanced sideways at the demon and sneered, "Your grandpa Monkey is the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. Who do you think you are to speak to me?" The fiend demon was enraged and leaped into the air, hollering, "A low-level fiend demon dares to call himself a territorial lord? What a joke! Let's see what capabilities you've got. Wild Monkey, come up and die." Monkey smirked and stomped on the ground. With a loud boom, he rose from the ground and arrived before the fiend demon in the blink of an eye. "Have a taste of your grandpa Monkey's staff." Monkey hollered and swung Imminent with both hands, drawing a perfect arc in midair before smashing down viciously towards the head of the demon. The might of that strike was way too ferocious. The fiend demon wielded a gigantic spear in his hands and initially, he wanted to stab Monkey in the chest. However, he was intimidated by the might of Monkey's staff and did not dare to continue stabbing forward in fear, retracting his spear hurriedly to defend. The moment the demon raised the spear above his head with both hands, he felt a tremendous vibration from the spear. Instantly, his palm was torn and blood gushed out. Immediately after, a deafening sound echoed in his ears. The demon's mouth was agape and his eyes were filled with shock. Snap! His magic tool had actually been smashed to pieces by the staff in front of him. The next moment, his vision was filled with golden light and he felt a sharp pain in his head before losing consciousness. Right in front of everyone else, the low-level fiend demon of Black Sand Ridge had his head smashed apart after his weapon was snapped by Monkey's staff. His brain was splattered and his essence spirit was destroyed on the spot. He was killed with a single strike. A commotion broke out below Howling Moon Mountain. Although the territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain had changed, the demons did not know much about the new territorial lords and had not seen Monkey and the others attack before. Today was the first time. Domineering. Domineering. Shocking. Although Monkey's cultivation realm was not high enough, his attack had indeed avenged the demons of Howling Moon Mountain and they felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction. Ha 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 ha. After killing the fiend demon of Black Sand Ridge with a single strike, Monkey reared his head and laughed maniacally. He looked down at the demon beasts of the 3 territories and hollered, "Don't send small fries like these to their deaths. Even I find it embarrassing." The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge had a terrible expression and his teeth creaked from gritting them. "Don't get cocky, you rascal." A burly man appeared behind the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge in a flash. Wielding a gigantic hammer, he strode towards Monkey in huge strides. A mid-level fiend demon. Black Wolf took a closer look. The burly man should be one of the deputy territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge, the mid-level fiend demon, Duan Yong. Don't just stand there, save him. Black Wolf hollered. He had seen Monkey in action before. In his opinion, although Monkey was strong in combat, he was not at the level where he could fight against mid-level fiend demons. Now that territorial Lord Mo had yet to come out of seclusion, there was no way they, as deputy territorial lords, could stand idly by while Monkey and the others were in danger. The moment Black Wolf and Chan Rui moved, the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave moved at the same time and blocked Black Wolf and Chan Rui. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge let out a sinister laugh. Fufu, Black Wolf, your opponent is me. Beauty Chan, your blood smells really sweet. The territorial lord of Cyclone Cave took a deep sniff and revealed an intoxicated expression. His movement technique was agile and his speed was shocking as he circled around Chan Rui, almost turning into afterimages. Kill. The attack of the mid-level fiend demon caused a chain reaction. The other territorial lords split up and roared from the demon horde below as well. A massive demon war had erupted. Chapter 825. The river demons of Ghastly River had already charged into the battlefield, but Solitary Cloud did not make a move. To be precise, he could not be bothered to make a move. In his opinion, the outcome of this battle was destined right from the start. What he wanted to do was to try his best to obtain the territory of Howling Moon Mountain and search for the treasure that emitted the aura of dragons. Before long, the battlefield was divided. Spirit demons fought against spirit demons. Low-level fiend demons fought against low-level fiend demons. In terms of numbers, Howling Moon Mountain had much fewer spirit demons compared to Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave combined. Thankfully, this was Howling Moon Mountain and they had the geographical advantage, they could still defend. As for the low-level fiend demons, Linghu, Qing Qing, and Little Fox led them and had the upper hand. However, those two battlefields were not enough to determine the direction of the battle. Howling Moon Mountain was at a complete disadvantage in the mid-level fiend demon battlefield that would determine the outcome. The mid-level fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had all attacked. Led by the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge, there were 5 mid-level fiend demons surrounding Black Wolf. As for Cyclone Cave, there were 8 mid-level fiend demons that attacked Chan Rui at the same time. Right at the start of the battle, Black Wolf and Chan Rui were faced with suffocating attacks that resembled a torrential downpour. The two of them were overwhelmed and almost died on the spot. Both of them were comparable to the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave at most. However, Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had more than 10 helpers. Black Wolf and Chan Rui were no match for them at all, they could not even protect themselves, let alone save Monkey. On the other side, the deputy territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge, Duan Yong, was already engaged in a fight with Monkey. As a mid-level fiend demon, Duan Yong felt disdain towards fiend demons that were a major cultivation realm lower than him. That was the reason why he did not even revert to his true form at the start of the battle. Brazen Monkey, die. Duan Yong's gaze was menacing as he wielded his gigantic hammer and charged forward, smacking Monkey on the head. Monkey's blood chi surged and he had already shed his human form. Thick, golden fur grew at a visible speed and covered his entire body, expanding with a torrential demonic chi. Against the incoming hammer, Monkey did not dodge at all and revealed his ferocity. Wielding imminent with both hands, the muscles on his arms bulged one after another like molten steel. Kill! Monkey roared and swung imminent, smashing it against the sledgehammer. Boom! The hammers collided with each other, causing sparks to fly in all directions as a deafening explosion erupted. A huge wave of air instantly gushed out. Duan Yong let out a muffled groan and felt his arms ache. He almost lost his grip on the sledgehammer and retreated continuously. What ferocious power! Duan Yong's eyes were filled with astonishment. Even if he didn't transform into his true form, his battle prowess was definitely on par with a low-level fiendish demon. And this monkey in front of him had actually forced him to retreat with a single strike. Solitary Cloud, who was watching by the side, noticed that and his eyes lit up. Stupid monkey, I'm going to tear you to shreds. Duan Yong twisted his neck and made a series of cracking sounds. His bones mutated and his body expanded. In the blink of an eye, he transformed into a huge rhinoceros. Duan Yong transformed into his true form, and his combat strength skyrocketed. Rumble. Duan Yong rushed over in midair with an aggressive aura. He controlled the sledgehammer with his spirit consciousness and smashed it towards Monkey. At the same time, Duan Yong's massive body charged towards Monkey and his thick and sharp horns struck Monkey's chest viciously. So, you're a rhinoceros demon. I'll send you to hell. Monkey was fearless and the scarlet light in his eyes shone brightly as though it was about to spew out. Berserk. He had just become a low-level fiendish demon and was not at the level where he could take mid-level fiendish demons head-on. However, if the berserk power in his bloodline was activated, Monkey's combat strength would increase to a terrifying level. Back in Myriad Phenomenon City, Monkey could even take on the primordial 9 races in a berserk state. Monkey was in a berserk state and his bloodshot eyes were filled with only the rhinoceros before him. The mysterious power in his bloodline surged continuously and rampaged through his body. Monkey's body was trembling slightly. Clang! Monkey swung imminent and sent the sledgehammer above Duan Yong's head flying. Immediately after, Monkey leaped and dodged Duan Yong's charge. Instead, he rode on top of the latter's head and raised his fist, smashing down on Duan Yong's head. Bang! Duan Yong's body shuddered when that fist smashed down. He felt a splitting headache and a boom in his head. His head spun and his body swayed, he nearly fainted. Thankfully, Monkey's right arm had turned numb from the impact of imminent collision with the sledgehammer. He was unable to exert any strength. Otherwise, if Qian Jun smashed down, Duan Yong's head would be smashed into smithereens. Even so, Monkey's fist was not something that Duan Yong's head could take on. Poof! Duan Yong opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He tried his best to sway his body, wanting to shake Monkey off. However, Monkey's legs clamped down on Duan Yong's waist like a tight band. He rode on top of Duan Yong and did not budge at all. He merely raised his fists and smashed them down like raindrops. I'll beat you to death. I'll beat you to death. Monkey cursed and his bloodshot eyes shone. After a few consecutive punches, streaks of blood appeared on the surface of Duan Yong's head. He coughed out blood repeatedly and his eyes dimmed. Interesting, Solitary Cloud's lips curled as he nodded. This monkey's bloodline was definitely extraordinary to be able to take on an opponent who was a major cultivation realm above him. However, if that was the extent of Monkey's capabilities, he would most likely lose. Go to hell. Duan Yong's glabella shone and he suddenly roared. A powerful spirit consciousness fluctuation burst forth and instantly descended upon the monkey's body. It was a spirit consciousness attack. Although Duan Yong did not know any essence spirit secret skills, he was a mid-level fiend demon and possessed spirit consciousness attacks. This was an attack targeted at the essence spirit and arrived almost instantly. Ah! Monkey cried out in pain and hugged his head with one hand. He felt a piercing pain in his head, as though needles were stabbing him. His body swayed and he nearly fell from midair. Brother Duan, don't panic. I'm here to help you. A mid-level fiend demon from Cyclone Cave charged over. His true form was a blood-colored bat with a hideous and menacing appearance. His glabella shone and he released spirit consciousness attacks one after another. Monkey could not defend against the spirit consciousness attacks of two mid-level fiend demons at all. Ah! 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 Monkey hugged his head with both hands and bared his teeth in agony as he stomped his feet in midair. He could no longer care about imminent in his hands. Solitary Cloud shook his head gently. What a pity. Indeed, there was an insurmountable gap between low-level fiend demons and mid-level fiend demons. Even in the past, he found it difficult to challenge mid-level fiend demons when he was a low-level fiend demon. On the other side, Black Wolf and Chan Rui were covered in injuries and were at the end of their rope. With the help of more than 10 mid-level fiend demons, the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had complete control of the situation and were almost uninjured. Black Wolf, Chan Rui, it's useless even if you use your essence spirit secret skills, as though they could read Black Wolf and Chan Rui's intentions. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave exchanged glances and smiled smugly. That's because we know essence spirit secret skills as well. Today, even the gods won't be able to save Howling Moon Mountain. You guys will definitely die. I don't think so. Right at this moment, a voice resounded from Howling Moon Mountain. It was sonorous and forceful like an army that was filled with an iron-blooded killing intent. Chapter 826. The voice reverberated through Howling Moon Mountain. However, in the midst of the intense battle, not many demon beasts paid attention to it. However, Linghu, Qing and the others were invigorated. Boom! A deafening sound echoed from the entrance of the cave abode at the top of the mountain. The stone door exploded and countless boulders flew in a frightening manner. Amidst the rubble, a figure could be seen moving at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, he had already arrived beside the monkey. So fast. Solitary Cloud was shocked. All he saw was a blur in front of him and the figure had already disappeared. In fact, he could not even catch up to the figure with his gaze. Solitary Cloud released his spirit consciousness and focused his gaze. The person was dressed in green robes and had shoulder-length scarlet hair. He had refined features and exuded a demonic aura. The person scooped out with his left hand and grabbed Imminent that had just fallen, smashing it against Duan Yong's back in reverse. Bang! Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Duan Yong's massive body was split into two by the tremendous power released by Imminent. His organs and flesh splattered in midair with a blood stench filling the air. At the same time, the person reached out with his right hand and grabbed the blood bat of Cyclone Cave that was flashing around with lightning speed. The blood bats of Cyclone Cave were known for their speed. However, they could not escape from the hands of this person. Squeak, squeak, squeak. As a mid-level fiend demon, the blood bat let out a series of short shrieks when its throat was gripped by the person's palm. It struggled continuously but could not break free no matter what. Without hesitation, the person exerted strength in his palm. Snap! The throat of the blood bat of Cyclone Cave was snapped by that person. It was clean and tidy. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water without any sluggishness at all. In the blink of an eye, the bodies of two mid-level fiend demons were destroyed. For low-level fiend demons, the destruction of their bodies was equivalent to death. However, for mid-level fiend demons, their essence spirits could leave their bodies and they could escape even in a battlefield filled with swords and sabers. Light flashed and two figures floated out from the corpses. One of them was a thumb-sized rhinoceros while the other was a blood-colored bat that fled into the distance rapidly. Losing his physical body meant that his primordial spirit would be exposed to the outside world, and the danger level would increase exponentially. However, without the shackles of his physical body, his essence spirit was closer to the world. With fewer obstacles, his speed was even faster. Unfortunately, no matter how fast these two primordial spirits were, they were not as fast as the speed of sound. After destroying the bodies of the two mid-level fiend demons, the intruder suddenly opened his mouth and let out a loud roar. Kill! It was like a sudden clap of thunder, shocking the mind. Before the two nascent divinities could get very far, the voice rang out, and the two nascent divinities trembled. Their bodies stiffened, and they stopped in midair. A moment later, the light of the two primordial spirits gradually dimmed. Cracks appeared on their bodies as they fell from the sky. Two mid-level fiendish demons, dead in body and spirit. The demons were in an uproar. If the initial voice was not enough to attract everyone's attention, this scene was enough to shock all the demons present. Even the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave stopped fighting for the time being. They frowned and looked over. Since the start of the battle, countless spirit demons had died. More than 10 low-level fiend demons had perished as well. However, none of the mid-level fiend demons had died yet. However, the moment this person appeared, he killed 2 mid-level fiend demons with thunderous methods. Who would dare to ignore him? Who was this person? That was the greatest and only doubt in the hearts of all the demons present. Territorial Lord. Right then, Black Wolf could not help but shout when he caught sight of that person. It's the Territorial Lord. The Grand Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain. The Rat King was bathed in blood. When he caught sight of the intruder, his face was filled with joy and he was in high spirits as he shouted loudly. The demons of Howling Moon Mountain cheered and their morale was boosted. The demons had almost forgotten about this mysterious territorial lord that had never shown himself after the battle broke out. To think that this mysterious territorial lord would finally appear at this most critical moment. I heard that the new territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain is a low-level fiend demon. Initially, I did not believe it. But now, it seems like the rumors are true. Fufu, Howling Moon Mountain is truly getting more and more useless. Right then, a stifled laugh sounded from midair. Solitary Cloud looked over with his hands behind his back with a mocking gaze. Low-level fiend demon. The demons of Howling Moon Mountain froze for a moment in confusion and turned towards the intruder instinctively. He seems like a low-level fiend demon. How can that be? Heis. In the blink of an eye, the smiles on the faces of the demons of Howling Moon Mountain vanished as they shook their heads and sighed dejectedly. The greater the expectations, the greater the disappointment. Initially, all the demons thought that this new territorial lord would be able to lead them to defeat the strong enemies. But now, what could a low-level fiend demon do? Given this situation, even mid-level fiend demons with ordinary combat strength would not be able to turn the tides. The intruder was none other than Su Zimo, who had just come out of seclusion. The process of him killing 2 mid-level fiend demons was extremely short and apart from a few bystanders, nobody noticed it at all. Therefore, the demons of Howling Moon Mountain did not have much of a reaction to the death of 2 mid-level fiend demons. Many demons even thought that it was a sneak attack by their new territorial lord. Su Zimo helped Monkey up and handed Imminent to the latter, asking, "Can you still fight?" Of course. Monkey's bloodshot eyes were much dimmer and the berserk power had dissipated as well. However, the fighting spirit in his eyes did not diminish at all. Su Zimo said, "Go help Linghu and the others. Leave this to me." "All right." Monkey replied loudly. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave did not say anything. They merely narrowed their eyes and released their powerful spirit consciousnesses, sweeping through Su Zimo repeatedly. Both of them wanted to see through Su Zimo's facade. However, to their surprise, they could not even see through Su Zimo's true form. If not for the rich demonic chi emanating from Su Zimo's body, they might even have thought that he was a human cultivator. Solitary Cloud frowned as well. The scarlet-haired man before him was merely a low-level fiend demon. However, he could not see through this person either. The strangest thing was that he could sense a sense of trepidation from the scarlet-haired man. This was an unprecedented situation. As a WIRM, he was a top-tier expert even among pure-blooded ferocious beasts. Furthermore, his cultivation was a major cultivation realm above this person. How could he feel trepidation? It must be a hallucination. Something's not right. Solitary Cloud closed his eyes and took a deep sniff. The aura of dragons. Solitary Cloud's expression changed. There was a faint aura of the dragon race emanating from that person. I've got it. Solitary Cloud was enlightened. That treasure of the dragons must be with him. If that was the case, then everything made sense. It was also because of that treasure of the dragons that this person could become the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain despite being a low-level fiend demon. Although Solitary Cloud was expressionless on the surface, he was secretly delighted when he figured that out. A treasure that can help a low-level fiend demon ascend to the position of territorial lord is definitely not ordinary. The heavens are truly on my side. I'm looking forward to it. Solitary Cloud thought to himself with a smirk. Chapter 827. Solitary Cloud pointed at Su Zimo and looked at everyone from Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave with a haughty expression. He said slowly, "Leave this person to me. You guys continue." His intentions were simple. If he were to kill the person before him, even if the treasures of the dragons were exposed, they would belong to him and nobody would be able to snatch them away. The two suzerains of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave exchanged glances and nodded their heads. Initially, both of them thought that the intruder was an incredible expert. But now, they realized that he was merely a low-level fiend demon. Even if he had some tricks up his sleeves, they would be of no help and would not affect the situation. Furthermore, Solitary Cloud had already decided to deal with this person, the latter was dead for sure. Kill. The two territorial lords waved their hands and called for the remaining 10 mid-level fiend demons to launch a concentrated attack towards Black Wolf and Chan Rui once more. Instantly, dermic powers surged. Black Wolf and Chan Rui had just caught a breather when they were surrounded once more in the blink of an eye and met with danger. Su Zimo's gaze was cold. In a flash, he charged in the direction of the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. Fufu, I'm your opponent. Solitary Cloud had no intention of reverting to his true form at all. He rode on the waves and blocked Su Zimo's path, smiling leisurely. It's your honor to die in my hands. Scram! Su Zimo's eyes lit up as he bent his knees and pushed forward. At the same time, he reached out with both hands and grabbed Solitary Cloud's shoulders. That was a killing move from the mystic classic of the 12 Demon Kings of the Great Wilderness. Prior to this, although Su Zimo's moves were powerful, they merely had the form. After becoming a fiend demon, not only did Su Zimo have the form, there was an additional charm to it as well. This was the true embodiment of both body and spirit. It was only after cultivating an essence spirit that one could attain the embodiment of both body and spirit. Solitary Cloud's expression changed. In his eyes, Su Zimo's figure seemed to have vanished and was replaced by a divine steed that was galloping over with a ferocious aura. An extremely tragic aura surged towards him and shook his mind. Ah! He's a horse demon. That thought flashed through Solitary Cloud's mind. Solitary Cloud was filled with pride. His true form was a ferocious dragon's, a pure-blooded ferocious beast. In terms of bloodline, he could be considered a distant relative of dragons. How could he be intimidated by a horse demon? Get the hell back! Solitary Cloud hollered and extended his arms at the same time, entangling them with Su Zimo's hands. He extended a leg from below and kicked Su Zimo's knee fiercely. Bang! Solitary Cloud's foot collided heavily with Su Zimo's knee. Solitary Cloud shuddered. A terrifying power flowed into his body from the soles of his feet. It was almost impossible to resist. The sole of his foot had already gone numb from the impact. Whoosh! Right then, Solitary Cloud suddenly felt a chill on his arms. Then, he felt a sharp pain. Solitary Cloud looked down. He saw Su Zimo's fingernails protruding from his 5 fingers. They were as sharp as knives, but they didn't pierce through his flesh. Instead, they tore his sleeves apart and left bloody wounds on his arms. Ah! Solitary Cloud was enraged and could not help but roar. As a pure-blooded ferocious beast, his physique was extremely strong and even ordinary perfected Lord Dermic weapons would not be able to injure him at all. To think that his body would be injured by the fingernails of this low-level fiend demon before him. How dare you injure? Solitary Cloud's eyes widened. Before he could finish, he felt a figure flash before him. Su Zimo had charged forward once more in the blink of an eye. Boom! Su Zimo's fist drew an arc in midair and smashed down like a gigantic seal with a frightening aura. Solitary Cloud's eyes were filled with shock and anger. Right now, Su Zimo was like a raging divine ape in his eyes, pounding his chest and stomping his feet in an earth-shattering manner. Could this person's true form be of the ape race? What's with the divine steed earlier on? With no time to think, a thought flashed through Solitary Cloud's mind. He hurriedly extended his arms and crossed them to block upwards. Bang! The collision of flesh and bones was as though he was defeated. Solitary Cloud's body shuddered and he lost his footing. He was sent flying by a single punch from Su Zimo. After taking 2 consecutive hits, he was actually at a complete disadvantage. Furthermore, the more Solitary Cloud fought, the more shocked and confused he became. He could no longer tell what Su Zimo's true form was. Su Zimo sent Solitary Cloud flying in merely 2 to 3 breaths' time. Ha! Su Zimo burst into laughter and glanced sideways at Solitary Cloud, who was not far away, shouting, "You're quite capable to be able to survive 2 of my blows." That statement was a complete response to Solitary Cloud's initial mockery. However, it was even more arrogant than what Solitary Cloud had said. Solitary Cloud was about to explode from anger. As a WIRM, he had been through countless battles and life-and-death situations up till this point of his cultivation. However, he had never suffered such humiliation. Solitary Cloud was so angry that his body trembled and his blood chi surged as his bones mutated. He was prepared to revert to his true form and kill Su Zimo completely. "I don't care if you're a horse demon or a monkey demon. You'll have to suffer my wrath for humiliating me as such. I've decided. I'm not going to kill you today. Instead, I'm going to subdue you and turn you into my mount." Solitary Cloud cursed as he transformed. Immediately after, he saw something else and his eyeballs nearly popped out of their sockets as he exclaimed, "Holy F***CK. What the hell is that?" After Su Zimo repelled him, he ignored Solitary Cloud completely and rushed to the battlefield to save Black Wolf and Chan Rui. Su Zimo's figure slithered in midair like an anaconda and arrived behind a mid-level fiend demon of Cyclone Cave in the blink of an eye. Solitary Cloud was completely dumbfounded. Initially, he thought that Su Zimo was a horse demon or a monkey demon. In fact, he might even be a baboon of legends. However, the man before him had turned into an anaconda. Although he was still in human form, his actions and charm were no different from a true python. The mid-level fiend demon of Cyclone Cave had not expected that the territorial lord of Ghastly River would not be able to stop Su Zimo and would be the one to charge over instead. By the time he reacted to it, Su Zimo was already behind him. Psst! A strange sound echoed in his ears. Without turning around, the image of an anaconda flicking its tongue appeared in his mind. A chill ran down his spine and his scalp prickled. Before he could do anything, he felt that both his arms and legs were tightly bound. It was impossible for him to break free. A suffocating feeling surged through his mind and he could not use any dermic powers or dermic weapons. The next moment, Su Zimo reared his head and took a deep breath, as though he had transformed into an anaconda that wanted to devour the sun and moon. His flesh and blood instantly swelled. A terrifying power of strangulation descended upon that person. Crack! 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 Right in front of everyone, the body of the fiend demon of Cyclone Cave caved in continuously and the sounds of bones snapping could be heard continuously. At this distance, even mid-level fiend demons would not be able to defend against Su Zimo's killing move. An essence spirit broke out of its shell. Before it could escape, it was grabbed by Su Zimo's palm and crushed, dying on the spot. A mid-level fiend demon was strangled to death. Chapter 828. Pust. What a ferocious melee combat technique. The mid-level fiend demons that were initially attacking Black Wolf and Chan Rui were shocked, and they caught sight of that and dodged instinctively, pausing their attacks for a moment. Including the 2 territorial lords, they had a total of 14 mid-level fiend demons. However, 3 of them were already dead in the blink of an eye. Don't panic, it's just a low-level fiend demon. Everyone, let's work together and kill him. The territorial lord of Cyclone Cave hollered with a calm expression. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge growled as well, the 9 of you, go kill that man. Leave Black Wolf and Chan Rui to us. The demons snapped out of their stupor as well. How strong could a low-level fiend demon be? No matter how ferocious his melee combat techniques were, he only had his fists and legs. How could he defend against 9 fiend demons? No matter how strong his physique was, could he defend against their dermic weapons? Kill! In midair, the demons hollered and attacked at the same time. More than 10 demonic dermic weapons tore through the air and charged towards Su Zimo. The demons of Howling Moon Mountain turned nervous instantly. The combined forces of 9 mid-level fiend demons to kill a low-level fiend demon, this was an unprecedented sight. If it was a mid-level fiend demon, he might not be able to defend against it. Furthermore, the territorial lord of Ghastly River, Solitary Cloud, had already reverted to his true form. His horns were towering and he charged over with a majestic aura. Solitary Cloud's combat strength increased exponentially after reverting to his true form. A WYRM resembled a dragon without horns and a snake with 2 legs. Solitary Cloud was grayish-white in color and was more than 100 feet long when fully extended. Tiny scales grew on his body and he had 2 legs beneath his abdomen with sharp claws and fangs. His glabella protruded slightly from where his eyes met, resembling a tumor. If one did not focus their attention, they would not be able to notice it. In reality, that tumor was the horn of a WYRM. WYRMs were born without horns. Only by cultivating continuously, comprehending heaven and earth, seizing opportunities, and fighting for luck would they have signs of a horn. The deeper one's cultivation was, the more obvious the horn would be. Of course, most WYRMs would not be able to cultivate a single horn even after cultivating for thousands or tens of thousands of years. Legend has it that when the horn is fully grown, it meant that the WYRM was about to transform into a true dragon. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 demon weapons had already arrived. Su Zimo's expression didn't change. He slapped his bag of holding and pulled out a black mountain, which began to grow in size. Boom! The black mountain descended and stood tall in midair. At least half of the more than 10 demonic weapons that were flying towards Su Zimo suddenly changed their trajectories and crashed towards the black mountain peak as if they were attracted by some mysterious force. Ding ding dang dang. These demonic weapons all collided with the Black Mountain Peak, producing a series of crisp sounds and sparks. What was even stranger was that these demonic weapons were all stuck to the Black Mountain Peak, not moving at all. A few fiendish demons' expressions changed drastically. They had actually lost the ability to sense their natal magic artifacts. Their natal dermic artifacts were right in front of them, but they could not control them at all. There were 2 or 3 magical artifacts that were not affected by this pull, but they no longer posed any threat to Su Zimo. Su Zimo's figure flickered continuously, easily dodging these 2 or 3 magic tools. Rumble. Solitary Cloud charged over with a terrifying might, as though the entire Howling Moon Mountain was about to be devoured by him. Solitary Cloud narrowed his gaze and exclaimed softly. It was clear that the Black Mountain Peak was no ordinary object. However, he could clearly sense that there was no aura of dragons on the Black Mountain peak. It was different from the treasure of dragons that he had guessed. This mountain peak seems to be. Solitary Cloud's eyes lit up as he thought of a possibility. Other fiendish demons might not be able to recognize it, but as a member of the Wyrm race, he had many ancient inheritances and memories and was naturally more knowledgeable than others. If I'm not wrong, this should be one of the 7 unique treasures, the Mystic Magnet Mountain. To think that this unique treasure would end up in the hands of this person. Solitary Cloud's heart was enlightened. This person possessed the help of this unique treasure and a treasure of dragons that had yet to be revealed. His fortune was truly frightening. It was no wonder why he could replace Black Wolf as the territorial lord of a region. However, although ancient unique treasures were strong, they were not without weaknesses. Everything in the world had a counter. The power of Mystic Magnet had a natural suction force towards some metals and ores. However, it had no effect against many treasures and rare spirit items. For example, Gung Gold ore, Heaven Silver ore and Bronze ore would not be affected by the Mystic Magnet Mountain. As for weapons made from the flesh, skin, and bones of demon beasts, the Mystic Magnet Mountain had even less of an effect against them. Petty tricks. Take my Dermic weapon. Solitary Cloud sneered and spat out a white beam of light with his mouth wide open. The white beam of light expanded rapidly in midair. It was a gigantic pair of scissors that hovered in midair, protected by clouds and filled with demonic chi. That was Solitary Cloud's Destiny Dermic weapon, Wyrm Bone Scissors. It was made from the spines of 2 ferocious Wyrms, 1 male and 1 female. The Wyrm's head was used as the handle of the scissors while its tail was used as the blade. It was filled with dense bone spikes that were incomparably sharp. No matter what demon beast or weapon it was, the Wyrm bone scissors would be sliced into 2 instantly. Most importantly, the Wyrm bone scissors were made from Wyrm bones and the Mystic Magnet Mountain had no effect on it at all. Roar! The Wyrm bone scissors paused for a moment in midair. Demonic chi surged and 2 Wyrms were formed. They reared their heads and roared into the skies with a murderous aura, coiling towards Su Zimo. Although the Wyrm bone scissors could not be considered as a Khanate Dao being Dermic weapon, it was not far from it. Before the 2 Wyrms descended, Su Zimo felt a sharp pain at his waist, as though he was about to be cut into 2. Humph! Su Zimo harumphed coldly and his glabella shone as a green beam of light flew out. The green beam of light expanded rapidly in midair and transformed into a bronze square tripod that was more than a meter tall. It was simple and heavy. Although the tripod was filled with cracks, its edges were distinct, as though it could tear through the firmaments and shatter the earth. Even the heavens and earth could not contain it. Go! Su Zimo hollered softly and controlled the bronze square tripod with his spirit consciousness, smashing it towards the Wyrm bone scissors fiercely. Cut it! Solitary Cloud roared as well. Boom! The Wyrm bone scissors collided heavily against the bronze square tripod with a deafening bang. Groar! Immediately after, the 2 Wyrms in midair cried tragically and turned into 2 streaks of white light, returning to the Wyrm bone scissors and vanishing. The Wyrm bone scissors dimmed significantly and fell. Solitary Cloud's eyes were bloodshot and his heart ached immensely. That single clash caused the Wyrm bone scissors to be slightly damaged and it would take at least dozens of years for it to recover to its original state. The bronze square tripod returned to Su Zimo unscathed. Although the bronze square tripod looked old and battered with cracks, it was indestructible. That head-on clash was not because Su Zimo was extremely strong. It was because the Wyrm bone scissors wanted to destroy the bronze square tripod and was injured instead. How dare you destroy my treasure scissors, you fiend demon! Damn it! Solitary Cloud was enraged and roared. The river behind him surged with torrential waves. Boom! Boom! Like a massive army, it surged towards Su Zimo with an apocalyptic aura. At the same time, the few fiend demons who lost their demonic dermic weapons attacked at the same time and released demonic arts one after another. Instantly, the void was filled with demonic chi and dermic powers rumbled. Chapter 829. At this point of the battle, both parties were no longer probing each other. Apart from Su Zimo, all the demons reverted to their true forms and released their demonic arts. Instantly, the ground quaked and rivers gushed in reverse. This was a clash of dermic arts and there were no tricks involved. The mid-level fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave could already tell that Su Zimo's physique was strong and his melee combat strength was terrifying. They might not be able to win. Furthermore, Su Zimo had many treasures with him that were powerful. It would be a bad idea to fight him in melee combat or with dermic weapons. Their cultivation realms were higher than Su Zimo's and their essence spirits were strong, so they could utilize more dermic powers. That was their advantage. Furthermore, including the territorial lord of Ghastly River, Solitary Cloud, there were a total of 10 mid-level fiend demons that attacked at the same time. Multiple streams of dermic powers were released in a massive manner and even the void above Howling Moon Mountain trembled. The most terrifying thing was Solitary Cloud's demonic art. WIRMs mostly resided in rivers and lakes. They could summon clouds and rain and were adept at using water. In their rage, they could even create floods that could drown the land and wreak havoc on living beings. Right now, the demonic art that he released was a legacy dermic art of the WIRM race, Apocalyptic Torrent. Even the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave were shocked and the dermic art was released, let alone the other lesser demons. Even if the two of them joined forces, they would have to avoid the attack. The combat strength of the WIRM was much stronger than they had imagined. Thankfully, the dermic art was not targeted at them. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave sneered internally and glanced at Su Zimo. Shaking their heads gently, they focused their attention on Black Wolf and Chan Rui once more. In their eyes, Su Zimo was already a dead man. Under such an attack, no one could survive. Even if they were in Su Zimo's shoes, they would only be destroyed in body and spirit. At this moment, the fighting between the demons below paused for a moment. The demons looked over instinctively. In front of the many fiend demons that were so massive that they almost burst through the skies, Su Zimo was as insignificant as an ant. It was as if it would be engulfed by the surging, rumbling torrent of magic power at any moment. However, if someone were to look carefully, they would notice that Su Zimo's expression was calm. There was not the slightest ripple in his eyes. Instead, there was a hint of mockery. Suddenly, beneath Su Zimo's feet, a colossal creature appeared. This colossal creature had 4 legs and 2 heads. It carried a gigantic carapace that was filled with mysterious ravines. It was ancient and seemed to be able to contain the mysteries of the world. Its back propped up the heavens, and its 4 legs were indomitable. It was like a stone pillar that reached the heavens, standing firmly in the torrent. Roar! The 2 heads of the turtle and the snake raised their heads and roared into the sky. Heaven and earth shook. The 9 dermic arts of the fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave paused in midair for a brief moment before dissipating. The 9 Dharma spells were all broken. Ah! What is this? The demons were in an uproar. Even Solitary Cloud's pupils constricted. The aura released by the 4-legged, 2-headed demon beast caused even him to shudder uncontrollably. What sort of demon beast would possess such a powerful and noble bloodline? 4 legs, 2 heads, 4 legs, Solitary Cloud murmured softly and his eyes lit up as he suddenly thought of a possibility. Could it be the sacred beast Black Tortoise? This was no demon beast, it was a sacred beast. Although Su Zimo's Jean Dan had already vanished, it was extremely easy for him to conjure the tortoise-serpent phenomenon with his dermic powers after cultivating to the nascent soul realm. No matter how the torrent surged, it could not shake the tortoise serpent. The tortoise serpent phenomenon was the top of the phenomenon ranking. Even if it was a phantom formed with dermic powers, it was not something that ordinary dermic arts could penetrate. Although the fiend demons around Su Zimo were massive and had torrential demonic chi, they were still much weaker compared to the sacred beast Black Tortoise. Su Zimo rode the tortoise serpent with a burning gaze and an even stronger aura that could devour mountains and rivers. How dare a mere Wyrm snake try to stir up a storm? What a joke! Under the suppression of the Black Tortoise, the torrent in the voids had indeed calmed down. Solitary Cloud gripped his fists tightly and his body trembled in anger. As a Wyrm, he hated it the most when others compared Wyrms and snakes together. It's merely a phantom formed with dermic powers. It's strong on the outside but weak on the inside. It's not even a real sacred beast. What are you being so arrogant for? Solitary Cloud grit his teeth. That dermic art of yours must have taken a huge toll on your essence spirit. Let's see how many more moves you can take from me. Solitary Cloud had to admit that he was sharp-eyed and extremely sharp. He was not wrong. Su Zimo's tortoise serpent phenomenon was extremely taxing on his scarlet-haired Een spirit. After all, given his cultivation realm, it was already his limit for the scarlet-haired Een spirit to be able to withstand the impact of the dermic arts of 10 mid-level fiend demons. However, Su Zimo was calm as usual and merely smirked coldly without the slightest hint of panic. In the midst of such an intense battle, nobody noticed that Su Zimo's scarlet hair was gradually turning black. Within his consciousness, the scarlet-haired Een spirit had already retreated silently. In its place was the black-haired essence spirit that sat in the middle. It's not about how many moves I can take, it's about how many moves you guys can take from me. Su Zimo circled the demons and his eyes shone with lightning as he reared his head and roared into the skies. Conjuring hand seals rapidly, a thunderous sound echoed from his body. In fact, a series of sinister electric arcs even appeared on the surface of his body. The dark clouds above Howling Moon Mountain turned thicker and rumbled violently. However, under the boundless rain, no one noticed this. Purple thunderstorm. Suddenly, Su Zimo hollered and pointed forward. Boom! One after another, streaks of lightning bolts rained down from the dark clouds, connecting the firmaments and the ground. They intertwined continuously and formed a terrifying purple thunderstorm. 6 mid-level fiend demons could not dodge in time and were swept into the thunderstorm. The 6 fiend demons were shocked and gathered their dermic powers to defend against it. However, it was impossible for them to escape unscathed against the might of heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, the dermic power defenses of 2 fiend demons were penetrated. After a few more breaths, the 2 fiend demons were electrocuted to the point where their flesh was lacerated. Ah! Ah! Purple lightning coiled and green smoke billowed from their wounds. The 2 fiend demons writhed in midair and shrieked repeatedly. The remaining 4 fiend demons gave their all and finally charged out of the range of the purple thunderstorm. All of them were covered in injuries and looked wretched. The 4 fiend demons turned back with lingering fear. In that short period of time, the 2 fiend demons were already drowned by the purple thunderstorm and were dead without a single sound. Even if their essence spirits were to leave their bodies, they would be electrocuted to death instantly against the envelopment of the purple thunderstorm. 2 mid-level fiend demons were dead with a single dermic art. All the demons were shocked. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave looked at everything in disbelief and were dumbfounded. That was a dermic art recorded in the Purple Thunder Manual and possessed the power to destroy heaven and earth. In reality, no matter how strong the Purple Thunderstorm was, it might not be able to kill mid-level fiend demons that were a major cultivation realm above it with a single strike. The 2 mid-level fiend demons were truly unlucky. The thunderclouds were dense and the rain was torrential. The power of the purple thunderstorm was released to its limits. Chapter 830. At this moment, the demons finally stopped underestimating the other party. They were no match for him in melee combat. Their dermic weapons were destroyed. They were defeated in fights. At this point in the battle, the number of mid-level fiend demons that died in the hands of this person had already reached 5. Even if this person was a low-level fiend demon, no one would dare to underestimate him. Solitary Cloud was enraged, but he was still indignant. As a pure-blooded ferocious beast, his bloodline was noble and strong. Furthermore, he possessed a trace of the bloodline of dragons, and his cultivation realm was a major cultivation realm higher than this person. How could he lose if he joined forces with others? If the demons worked together, they could exhaust this person to death even if they had to. Kill. Solitary Cloud opened his mouth and a stream of water gushed out. The moment the stream of water arrived in midair, it transformed into the form of a WIRM. The WIRM soared through the clouds and bared its fangs, charging towards Su Zimo viciously as though it could sense its master's wrath. Puny WIRM snake, break. With a calm expression, Su Zimo hollered softly and conjured hand seals once more. Electric arcs surged between his hands and tugged continuously. With a series of crackling sounds, a gigantic shield was formed between his hands in front of him. It was still a dermic art from the Purple Thunder manual, Purple Thunder Shield. The gigantic Purple Thunder Shield was formed entirely from electric arcs and was bedazzling as it absorbed the power of thunder from the thunderclouds continuously. Boom! The WIRM collided heavily against the Purple Thunder Shield and let out a deafening sound. The Purple Thunder Shield dissipated. The WIRM formed by Solitary Cloud dissipated as well. Making use of the tremendous force of the collision, Su Zimo retreated in a flash and arrived before a mid-level fiend demon in the blink of an eye. The mid-level fiend demon had just escaped from the purple thunderstorm and had yet to catch his breath when he felt his vision darken. A gigantic and thick palm had already enveloped him. His mouth was agape with a stunned expression. Just now that he had escaped death, he was covered in injuries and his reaction was slower by half. How could he have expected that Su Zimo would appear before him all of a sudden when he was in the midst of fighting against the territorial lord of Ghastly River? It was only a momentary delay, but it had cost him his life. Paw! Su Zimo's palm landed on the top of the man's head. The man's skull instantly shattered. The essence spirit in his consciousness was also destroyed by a tremendous force and was destroyed on the spot. Another mid-level fiendish demon had fallen. In the blink of an eye, including the 2 territorial lords, there were only 8 mid-level fiend demons left in Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. Ink! Ink! The demons of Howling Moon Mountain burst into cheers as they chanted the name of their territorial lord. Solitary Cloud's expression was ugly. He failed time and time again. Not only did he fail to severely injure Su Zimo with his dermic art, the latter even made use of the momentum to kill another mid-level fiend demon. This made him very angry. Finally, the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave realized that something was amiss. If this carried on, all the mid-level fiend demons under their command would be dead while the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain was still alive and kicking. Apart from the 3 territorial lords, the eyes of the remaining 6 mid-tier fiend demons were already filled with panic and fear. If they did not step forward, there was a chance that the 6 fiend demons would turn and flee. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave exchanged glances with a tacit understanding. At the same time, they gave up on Black Wolf and Chan Rui and turned to face Su Zimo. Black Wolf and Chan Rui were already exhausted and were nothing to be feared. Right now, the most important thing was to kill the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain before them to boost their morale. Suddenly, the demons realized that Su Zimo's scarlet hair had vanished and was replaced by a head of black hair. The demons merely frowned slightly and did not think too much about it. Even if they racked their brains, they would not be able to imagine the shocking secret of the 2 essence spirits hidden in between the scarlet and black hair. Although Purple Thunderstorm and Purple Thunder Shield were dermic arts of cultivators, the demons could not differentiate between the dermic arts released by Su Zimo due to the turbulent demonic chi around him. In the blink of an eye, the 3 territorial lords and 6 mid-level fiend demons occupied different positions and surrounded Su Zimo in the middle. Their expressions were cold and their killing intent was chilling. The 9 mid-level fiend demons seemed to have the same intentions as well. I have to say that you are indeed qualified to be my opponent. Solitary Cloud said in a deep voice, Imo, are you not going to revert to your true form? Su Zimo smiled indifferently. You're not qualified to meet my true form yet. Even I'm not qualified. Solitary Cloud was so angry that he laughed instead. You truly don't know that you're about to die. Tisk, tsk, tsk. The territorial lord of Cyclone Cave let out a sinister laugh. Junior, no matter what your true form is, even if you're a pure-blooded ferocious beast, you won't stand a chance. Beast, die with my child. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge hollered. The moment he said that, beams of light shone from the glabellas of the 9 mid-level fiend demons at the same time. A series of terrifying spirit consciousnesses spread through the voids with a wanton might. Against the envelopment of the spirit consciousnesses, the demons that were fighting below stopped fighting and shuddered in fear. Some of the more cowardly ones even sprawled on the ground motionlessly. If they were grazed by any of the spirit consciousnesses, they would die instantly without any chance of survival. In the cultivation world, there was a saying that life and death could be decided with a single thought. In reality, it meant that powerful cultivators could kill their opponents instantly with their spirit consciousnesses. Territorial Lord, watch out. It's an essence spirit secret skill. Black Wolf's expression changed starkly when he saw that, and he reminded hurriedly. A fight between essence spirits was the most dangerous. Even mid-level fiend demons would not use essence spirit secret skills right away in a fight. Notwithstanding whether they could win in a fight between essence spirits. Even if they won, it would be a loss if their essence spirits were injured as a result. An injury to the essence spirit was much harder to recover from than an injury to the physical body. There were many spirit herbs and elixirs to treat internal and external injuries. A severely injured physical body would recover after a few years of recuperation. However, spirit herbs and elixirs to treat the essence spirit were extremely rare. A severely injured essence spirit might not be able to recover fully for the rest of one's life, let alone a few years. That was the reason why one's cultivation would be affected as well. It was extremely common for one's cultivation realm to come to a halt. That was the reason why Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave did not choose to fight with their essence spirits at the beginning despite having the advantage. Instead, they chose to exhaust their opponents slowly. The outcome was as they had expected as well. Black Wolf and Chan Rui's dermic powers were depleted and their essence spirits were greatly drained. Even if they wanted to use their essence spirit secret skills to fight to the death, they were powerless. However, there was a variable in the midst of everything. The variable was so great that it almost turned the tides of the entire battle. They were in a completely passive position. Right now, they were forced to use their essence spirit secret skills as well. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave glared at Su Zimo coldly from above as though they were looking at a dead man. At this point of the battle, they had already deduced that although Su Zimo was a low-level fiend demon, his bloodline was definitely extraordinary and his essence spirit was strong. However, no matter how strong his essence spirit was, it could not defend against spirit consciousness attacks or essence spirit secret skills. Furthermore, 9 mid-level fiend demons were attacking at the same time. No matter how great the variable was, it would be eliminated. Solitary Cloud looked at Su Zimo with a conflicted gaze. Actually, in the depths of his heart, he still wanted to suppress Su Zimo single-handedly and subdue the latter as his mount. He could even take the treasures of the dragons in the latter's possession for himself. But now, that wish was unlikely to be fulfilled. This person would definitely die against an essence spirit secret skill. If they wanted to snatch away the treasures of the dragons in the latter's possession, they might have to fight a tough battle against Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. Chapter 831. Su Zimo stood in midair with a grim expression. Indeed, this was the most dangerous moment for him. His bloodline was frightening and his physique was strong. Even the dermic arts he cultivated were of the highest quality, heaven-grade cultivation techniques from immortals and Buddhas. However, no matter how strong his bloodline or physique was, he could not defend against the power of an essence spirit. His body would not suffer any damage from the spirit consciousness attack, that was a killing power that targeted the essence spirit directly. In a fight between essence spirits, one could only use the essence spirit to defend. Alternatively, they could make use of extremely rare essence spirit dermic weapons. Furthermore, Su Zimo was only at early stage nascent soul realm. Even with the fusion of his two essence spirits, he could not compare to the essence spirits of 9 mid-level fiend demons. Su Zimo knew that he could only truly resolve the crisis of Howling Moon Mountain if he could tide through this ordeal. At this most dangerous moment, Su Zimo acted out of character and closed his eyes. The demons were in an uproar. In the eyes of the demons, Su Zimo's action was more like a sign of him giving up on resisting and waiting for death. What the demons did not know was that Su Zimo had not only closed his eyes, he had sealed his 6 senses as well. At that moment, his mind calmed down instantly. It was as though he had entered a state where he was connected to the heavens and his physical body had already vanished. Su Zimo relied solely on his spirit perception to sense everything around him. In his senses, the 9 spirit consciousness attacks came in different forms. There was a WIRM, a scorpion, and a blood bat, all of them came from different angles. Among them, 4 of the spirit consciousnesses were clearly stronger. Su Zimo realized that the 4 spirit consciousness attacks were released using essence spirit secret skills. As for the other 5, they were merely ordinary spirit consciousness attacks. Within his consciousness, the scarlet-haired Een spirit stood up and approached the black-haired essence spirit before fusing together rapidly. The only way to defend against this terrifying attack was to fuse the 2 essence spirits. At the same time, Su Zimo's left wrist shone with a bedazzling golden light that was divine and flawless, forming an indestructible barrier around him. This barrier could not block the attacks of Dharma spells and Dharma artifacts. However, it was able to withstand the impact of divine sense. Wang! 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 Almost at the same time, 9 spiritual consciousness attacks hit the golden barrier. Ripples began to appear on the barrier, as if it was water rippling. 5 ordinary divine sense attacks were intercepted. However, the power of the other 4 essence spirit secret skills caused cracks to appear on the golden barrier that extended rapidly. The golden barrier came from the Mingwang prayer beads. The Mingwang prayer beads were the most precious treasures of the Daming Temple. Of course, its true power was not limited to this. But now, the Mingwang prayer beads on Su Zimo's left wrist was only an incomplete magical item. Moreover, Su Zimo was limited by his cultivation level and was unable to truly refine this magic item. He could only unleash 20 to 30% of its power. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the golden barrier exploded. The light of the Mingwang prayer beads dimmed. 4 spirit consciousnesses penetrated Su Zimo's body and barged into his consciousness like starving ferocious beasts. Among them were the spirit consciousnesses of the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River. Within his consciousness, the 2 essence spirits had already fused. A brand new essence spirit assumed a lotus position on the green lotus platform. His hair was black and red and he had a cold expression. His left eye was blood red while his right eye was pitch black. Although he was in the form of an infant, he exuded a domineering aura that looked down on the past and present. Sensing the intrusion of the 4 spirit consciousnesses, the essence spirit stood up and the surrounding spirit consciousnesses seemed to have condensed into an ocean that surged with resplendent lights. Get lost! The essence spirit stood on the lotus platform and let out a roar, causing a huge wave in the sea of consciousness. Boom! An incomparably terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation burst forth with the green lotus platform as the center. The four spirit consciousnesses collided with Su Zimo's spirit consciousnesses. Among them, two spirit consciousnesses were annihilated instantly. However, the remaining two spirit consciousnesses were unusually ferocious as they tore through the waves and devoured Su Zimo's essence spirit viciously. One of them was a bat with scarlet eyes. It opened its mouth and bared its sharp fangs, biting towards Su Zimo's essence spirit. All of a sudden, the 9 lotus holes on the green lotus platform shone with resplendent lights that circled around Su Zimo's essence spirit in beautiful arcs. Poof! 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 The 9 resplendent lights collided with the bat repeatedly. The 9 resplendent lights were expended continuously and holes appeared on the bat's body. Before it could make contact with Su Zimo's essence spirit, the bat's spirit consciousness dissipated. In the blink of an eye, there was only a single spirit consciousness left. The spirit consciousness was a WIRM the size of a thumb. It was the strongest and charged its way forward. It was the essence spirit secret skill of the territorial lord of Ghastly River, Solitary Cloud. The long hair on the shoulders of Su Zimo's essence spirit danced without wind. His black and red eyes shone with a divine light. Scarlet red scales appeared on the Yuan spirit's body, tightly wrapping around his Yuan spirit. Spirit consciousness dragon scales. This was something that was derived from cultivating the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. With the spirit consciousness dragon scales, Su Zimo's essence spirit could leave his body at the nascent soul realm and roam the world without fear of the blazing sun and astral winds. The spirit consciousness WIRM opened its mouth and devoured Su Zimo's essence spirit viciously. However, immediately after, the spirit consciousness WIRM seemed to be in immense pain and twisted around in his consciousness. A series of red lights appeared on the body of the spirit consciousness WIRM and grew brighter and clearer. Finally, the WIRM burst into flames. In the blink of an eye, it turned into nothingness. Su Zimo's essence spirit reappeared with a much dimmer glow. It was clear that he had expended a lot of energy. However, the eyes of the essence spirit shone with excitement. He had already dispelled all 9 spirit consciousness attacks. He had used all his trump cards throughout the entire process. Apart from the Mingwang prayer beads and the spirit consciousness dragon scales, he also had the protection of the 9 resplendent lights of the creation Qinglian. This was also one of the mystical aspects of the creation Qinglian that Su Zimo had discovered in the past half a year. Above Howling Moon Mountain, Su Zimo opened his eyes and finally revealed a smile. However, the 9 mid-level fiend demons surrounding him were rooted to the spot with frozen expressions. It was as though they had lost their souls. The demons were confused. Although the fight between essence spirits took a long time to describe, it ended in the blink of an eye. The demons merely saw 9 divine lights charging towards Su Zimo. 5 of them shattered and 4 of them entered Su Zimo's glabella. Immediately after, the world went silent. Su Zimo opened his eyes and smiled. The 9 mid-level fiend demons were shocked. Could they have lost? Even the spirit consciousness attacks of 9 mid-level fiend demons could not kill this man. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had terrible expressions. In reality, their spirit consciousnesses were severed from their bodies the moment they entered Su Zimo's consciousness. They did not know what was happening within. However, Solitary Cloud could vaguely sense the aura of dragons through Su Zimo's glabella before his spirit consciousness dissipated. I've got it. That treasure of the dragons must be a spirit consciousness dermic weapon and is hidden within his consciousness. Solitary Cloud was enlightened. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.